Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f yourself. But go f yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Dude, that's like a test of strength. That's not gay. That's like I'm gonna grip you. I'm gonna grip you harder than you grip me. I wonder what the championship belt would look like. Just like a big ass.
This would be my penis wrapped around their waist.
Adam, you being Worf is cultural appropriation. I won't.
Cultural appropriate my dick. I don't care. I will have earned my ridges and my surly attitude by the time we get there.
If I were going to culturally appropriate your dick, you'd have to go get that surgery. To get
good Lord, here we go.
Yeah.
I am dumping unlimited power into you. We named zombies after you in that game.
Yeah,
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's these big fat bloaters that sun themselves and they just lay there.
oh, those are the things that come out of my rainbow's ass.
And that is just
Oh God,
those eyes, dude. Those eyes, man. Those eyes.
pretty eyes.
I'm not looking at them
She
eyes
can-
right now.
You know what?
I know, but she is a total package. She is a total package.
I usually
can have my
think
package.
Ryan. I usually think Ryan is very cringe when he says this, but she can shit in my mouth.
Whoa,
God,
Dermy!
Why do you have to ruin
What
this?
the fuck?
Why do you have
Ryan
to ruin
says that
this?
shit.
Fuck,
Ryan
I know,
says
but-
this shit.
I
I
If
will
Ryan
drink
jumped
Ryan
off a
just
bridge,
says
would you
that
jump
shit.
off a bridge?
But you just
For her,
Probably
yeah.
fucking
that.
would.
Here we are worshiping this beautiful woman, and you're talking about German shit eating. I mean, come on.
Listen. I will drag my ball sack.
No, listen.
100
You
miles
listen to
worth
me.
of
Shut the
frickin'
fuck up.
broken glass, salt, and lemon
Shut the
juice
fuck up,
just
Jeremy.
to smell her farts.
We're not on your goddamn stream. We're on Adam's stream. We're
Wow,
supposed to
I am-
respect the man's
Thanks-
house. You don't take
thanks-
shit in his goddamn fridge.
Sorry, I was muted. At least I didn't start talking before. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Mellow Mondays. For the moment, it's just me. Devil is one of the times of the month where Devil goes and does politics on another show. So if we're still going later, he will show up and we'll see Samuel a little bit. So for a little bit, it's just me. It's just me for the moment. No one else is coming in. I hope you guys are having a good Monday and welcome to Mellow Mondays. I hope everybody's doing all right. My day was my day. I put out another video talking about some Leslie Helen, and we started a minute late because I have to apologize. And I'll show it to you just to show you I wasn't bullshitting. And if you guys want, we could do it, but I need to finish reading it in definitely because there's some extra stuff in here. Vulture just dropped another interview, another post Acolyte finale interview with Leslie Headland, and I was just going through it, and then I realized it was time to start the show. So just for a brief overview, I'm deciding whether or not it's worth a video. We're not going to do it tonight. I'm just deciding whether or not it's worth a video. It's mostly it's all cookie cutter bullshit. It's all it's not even like they're having a conversation. It's just ask question, give answer. And first half of it is shit we've already seen, but in the back half, there's some stuff in here that just is so retarded. Like right here. Here's this one right here. It's interesting in the universe originally built around a very hetero family saga with the Skywalker clan to give that power to create life to this group of women, lesbian witches. Brendok was always a matriarchal society, and it was all about juxtaposing girls' family of origin in a space that was exclusively female The coding that is, of course, homosexuality and the paternalism that a father would have for a daughter or a Jedi would have for a potential Padawan. I like to call it paternal rather than patriarchal because it feels like it's coming from a good place. It felt new and different to introduce a threat essentially of women being able to create life that were concerned the Jedi, but the concern doesn't have to do with gender. It's just there's a lot of stupid in there. It's a lot of stupid in there. So I'm trying to see if there's anything really that is video worthy. Because listen, I'm gonna squeeze every last drop of content I can get out of the Acolyte right now because that's what people want to see on my channel at the moment. They want to see me rip Disney Star Wars. So I'm gonna rip it as much as I can. So I'm sorry, started a minute so late, and then I accidentally clicked the beginning, but I didn't click start stream. So I was sleeping till about 30 minutes ago, fell asleep in my chair watching something for later in the week, and I was out, just out. And here we are. So I hope you guys are doing well. How we all doing? Let me see he's here. What do you mean I forgot to? What do you mean I forgot to add an Ahego from the Weeb on Titan? Oh no, I can't. No, the clips have to be us doing that. Damn, Lyle, what are you doing in Moscow, dude? What are you doing in Moscow, dude? Stay safe out there. Russia's a crazy place. Listen. You guys know I do a lot of squeezing. Okay, I have to do squeezing in order to get doing. What do you mean? I mean, I'd forgot. Listen, I don't remember every little stupid thing I do. I'd have to. I don't have the video. I don't have the ability to download that one directly anymore because I've cleaned the my backups of StreamYards out since then. I'll have to go back. I mean, I don't remember everything I do. Okay. I don't remember. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I know I probably need fresh stuff, but I need you guys to remind me of things. So remind me again, and I will go back and look at it because I guess that could be put in there. Because listen, every normal streamer, we all try to create that nice little intro buffer, so that when we get started, it's so we can get past that opening few minute marks where they're really sensitive about certain types of language, and then by the time we get into the show, they're not really so sensitive anymore. Also, it's that little buffer to allow some people to come into the stream who only show up when it starts. So I mean, there are those who sit and wait to like half an hour before something will start, but then there's everybody else who's going to come and just dive right in when the stream starts. So I get that little buffer so that you guys can come in here. So there's at least somebody here when I start talking, and it's not just me, because especially tonight where I realized as the intro was starting, oh, it's just me for a little while before Samuel gets here, which maybe it kind of works out okay because I don't really have a ton of stuff for tonight. It's been so strange. I don't really make memes, Ariel. Every time I try, they kind of fall apart. I'm not a meme maker. The other guys are meme makers, not me. Oh, well, it's a family thing. Yeah, it is. I've known people who've gone over there, and I've heard very strange stories. I heard a story once. This is back from the 90s, that when somebody, actually it was my stepdad, went to Vladivostok for a business venture that never panned out. He said that their toilets were holes in the ground in Vladivostok, and that was in the 90s. So Russia's a very strange, large, and place. Just remember, watch your P's and Q's. I mean, because the laws are different. They're not our laws. So just be careful out there on your way home. I personally, it would take a lot to make me travel. Again, I've been around the world. I've been to many places. It would take a lot to make me leave the country at this point ever again. Honestly, it would require somebody I love having boobs. That would be the requirement. Other than that, I have no desire to leave the country. I would have to appease somebody I like who has boobs. That's it. There's my reason for ever leaving the country again. Because I'm happy. I'm happy in America. Even though America has its own problems, I'm happy here, and I understand how to live here. Well, Bug comes in when he feels like it. Bug's not a normal contributor. I think he comes in when he knows there's going to be comic book news to talk about. So he'll jump in because he knows he can get to get it out of his system, and he knows I'll nerd it. I'll let him talk about it, and I'll engage him outside. I mean, Bug, he has the link. It goes out into a particular chat room that everybody has the link to. So you never know who's going to show up. You never know who's going to show up. And so, I mean, Devil and Samuel are basically my only two regulars. And this is one of those times where Devil has a pre-arranged spot on another stream, a political stream. So, and I'm not gonna. And there's so much politics going on. I'm not gonna deny them their Devil this chance to talk, especially because Devil has changed his own schedule right now, so he can't do every stream he wants to do because of his new work schedule. So I'm not a tyrannical host and make everybody be over here when they have to. I know Samuel will be here in about half an hour or so, which is one of the reasons we start later now, to give Samuel a chance to get here while we're still talking about the meat of the subjects. And also maybe not like this, where I'm flying solo for most of it. Samuel will come in. We'll go on for maybe about another hour or so. Maybe you guys will send us down a rabbit hole. Maybe somebody else will show up. And, then we'll call it. I mean, but I honestly don't have a lot to talk about tonight. I got a couple of things because, as I said, it's been an interesting weekend. And let's be brutally honest. Politics is sucking up all the oxygen in the room. Oh, look at that. Damn, he is. Oh, wow. You're here early. Hi. If you're talking, I can't hear you. Maybe I have a
Sorry, no, it's running a little slow. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you here. Wow, you're early. Hi.
Hello?
Hi. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I actually meant to be here on time, but
You're cutting
yeah,
out.
I can hear you.
Now, are we on a delay here?
All right, I'm gonna reset.
Reboot. Yeah, reset. All right. Well,
Yep.
all right. Samuel's here, everybody. And once he resets, he'll be right back in a second. But it's a strange week. Politics is sucking up all the oxygen in the room. So it's and I don't want to rehash shit I've already been talking about for the past 72 hours because you guys have already watched me talk about all that shit already. And we try to keep it nerdy around here. We try not to really delve into all the major topics unless you guys ask us directly about something. But yeah. Well, and yeah, I suffered it. I'm okay with it though. I was okay with it, and I liked ripping it apart. It was fun. I do have one video game related topic. We have some Ubisoft stuff I'm going to talk about because Ubisoft has a lot of problems that they're going to have to deal with very soon. So let me put this back over here. There we go. Let me switch my seat up. Oh, there he goes. Okay, so Sam will be back in a minute. I'm surprised. I didn't know Sam was going to be here early. I thought I had another half an hour of solo time. So great. We'll go right into a couple of the subjects then. Starting with one thing that he has to answer for. When Sam comes back, he has to answer for something. Now let me take a drink so I don't become Hiccup Adam, like Hiccup Dermy. Although, unlike Hiccup Dermy, I'm not drunk. Ubisoft is Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft is Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft is the upcoming Star Wars Outlaws, which looks like giant trash monster. That's Ubisoft. I don't know who did Guild Wars. There we go. Hi. You okay now?
How's it now?
Now you're fine. Okay. Hi. I didn't expect you here early. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, no, I called off work because I haven't been feeling well. That's actually I intended to be here on time today, but I was taking a little nap trying to get this headache under control.
Listen, I was taking a nap too. I woke up just in time. So you're not alone. I was asleep too. Because here's the thing, I woke up. I went to bed relatively on time last night for me. And I was sleeping most of the way through, but then I had a momentary dream where somebody was banging on my door aggressively and it snapped me awake. And for a second, I had to make sure it wasn't really happening. And whenever I have a dream like that, I can't go back to sleep because I'm always nervous the door's about to be knocked on or that I wasn't dreaming. So that was it. I was done. I had to stay awake. And I had to watch House of the Dragon anyway to get ready for my interview, for my review, which is up right now, guys. It's up. It's only 12 minutes long because I've kind of had it with that show, Samuel. I've kind of had it.
Really? You've had enough of the hot D.
Well, yes. Listen, I can only take so much hot D in a week, and I've reached my limit with it. Just for the fact that, listen, I do not disregard what I've been saying for the past 5 weeks, 6 weeks now, 6 weeks, including today. The production value is high. The acting is excellent. The writing is good. And the soundtrack is good. A lot of the everything that makes it a quality show is good. But for me, that's all I'm seeing because it's always set up, set up, set up, set up, very little payoff. Set up,
Mm.
set up, set up. Momentary big payoff. It's like a big flash fire, and then it's done. And then we're back to payoff. And then I realized today watching this episode, it's misery porn. It's
Well, I
misery
could have
porn.
told you that.
Well,
I
it
haven't seen
didn't-
any of it, and I could have told you that. Everything that
It-
fucking Germ writes is misery porn.
Well, it didn't sink in until today when I'm watching right before the scene where they had the character of Rhaenyra basically, lesbian kiss another woman. Before that, that woman, the character of the White Worm, is going on about how her dad abused her sexually. I'm thinking to myself,
Hmm.
why does this matter? And then it struck me, freaking misery porn,
Yeah.
porn. And that's why I'm really not enjoying it. And then I was talking to Dermy about something else in DMs because we're for Thursday on Anime Odyssey, and I said to him after I said, "Listen, I just finished my House of the Dragon review. I realize why you like this more than I do. It's misery porn." He just says, "Yes."
Mhm.
Dermy loves misery porn.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God damn.
And actual porn. That's why he watches MILF Manor.
So I went on what was it was a little longer than 12 minutes. I had to edit around certain parts, but I essentially went on a 12 to 15-minute rant. I broke down the episode best I could, but it's just I ranted for 12, 15 minutes. I'm not doing this for half an hour, 40 minutes, and then spending 2 hours editing this stuff down. I'm not doing it. So so I put it out there, and I'm expecting, because for this, I don't get a lot of traction on my reviews on this, so not a lot of people watching, but I'm expecting some possible pushback because I basically said this shit's boring, and I didn't say overrated in my review, but it is at this point getting overrated. It really is, because there's no I don't even have the right word. The show is literally missing something. And
happy ending.
that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, it's not gonna have happy ending. No, it's Germ. Nothing happy ending. Yes. Gal is right there with me.
Mhm.
Yes. I hate misery porn. I hate it. So I'm gonna finish it out. It's 4 weeks left. I've got a month left. I'm gonna finish it out, even though it's not a juggernaut for the channel, because I promised I'd do it. And if my videos end up being these short ones like they have been, then so be it. If something happens where I can actually dig into it and talk about it, then I'll talk about it. But for me, there was nothing to talk about in this episode outside of telling you what happened, because there's no mystery. They're dwelling on scenes. They're repeating stuff. And I just, listen, I finished it, and I went back and I went over after I was done, and I finished watching season 5 of Demon Slayer, which was infinitely more enjoyable, which was also
I'm sure.
heavy world building and had its own level of tragedy built into it. But at the same time, there's hope. There's hope.
Look,
And
that's the key, though, right? That's the key, because you can have misery, you can have tragedy and heartbreak and all of those things. Sometimes that's necessary for to create good tension and conflict to drive your story. But
Mhm.
that can't be all that it is, and I don't believe that Germ knows how to write anything else.
I agree. I mean, just without really spoiling it for those who may be still catching up on it. I know, Samuel, you don't care. The final moments of Demon Slayer season 5, which are now leading into a trilogy of conclusion movies that are going to be coming out in the next couple of years. Now, I am so hyped up for that. Dermy and I will be talking about this on Thursday on Anime Odyssey. You can guarantee that, because I said once I saw it, we were going to talk about the season, or as a whole, the series, even though we haven't reviewed it yet for Anime Odyssey. Let's just say, here's how something is tragic. The character, one of the I don't want to say side characters, one of the important characters in the show uses himself as bait to lure in the big bad, and then Minecrafts himself and his family in a giant explosion just so they can trap the big bad, as all the heroes show up because they realize something's going on. And then they're about to have a massive fight, but then but he does it after he gives this big speech of, as a human being, my will go on, because humans have the will to live on, the will to continue to fight. But when we kill you, demon, you're the source of it all. When you're gone, all demons will die. So that's why humanity will always win, because our fighting spirit, our will to keep going, will keep us going. And you're nothing. You're empty. And then the demon is surprised by this attack. But then in an epic moment, it just shifts to the venue of the final arc, which are the final 3 movies. And oh man, it's just you are ready. But right in that moment, it's a tragic moment, but it's got the hope because it unites all the heroes in this moment, and they're ready to fight as they're separated in this final battle zone that they're going to be in for 3 movies now. And it's just outstanding. It's so good.
Oh, yeah.
And people, if people are going to yell at me about my views on House of the Dragon, saying, "Oh, Adam, don't you like world building? Don't you like character interaction? That's what this is. You claim to like this kind of stuff. You complain when the horrible shows don't do it." Yeah, I like it, and I've complimented on this doing it, but they're just taking so long doing it. But as juxtaposed again to Demon Slayer season 5, which is 8 episodes, a couple of them 40, 50-minute episodes of world building and character work. But it's engaging. It's engaging. And it pulls you in. So
like I haven't read A Song of Ice and Fire or any of those books attached to that. I have not watched Game of Thrones. I haven't even bothered with Hot D because I'm straight. But I have been playing Elden Ring, as you know, right? Which he had a heavy hand in writing all the fucking backstory for, right?
Yep.
His fingerprints are all over this damn thing. And I mean, you could just play the game and be totally ignorant of what the lore is, because if you're not playing archaeologist, it's not gonna make sense.
I gave up on the lore halfway through my original run of the game. Like, none of this makes any sense. It's all,
trust me, it's all misery porn, but like on a god tier level. Right? It is. Look, it all involves gods. You're stuck in this place called the Lands Between, which is neither here nor there, right?
Yeah.
And everyone in it is undying.
Yeah.
Including yourself. Like everybody, like that's the lore reason for, like, when you rest at a site of grace, everything comes back to life, is because they're undying too. Right? Because death has been taken out of the equation. It's a whole, the story is very, very complicated and convoluted, but essentially what it boils down to is everybody's stuck in purgatory, killing each other over and over again for meager scraps of power, hoping to get one over on each other, and only a handful of them even have a hope of changing things, but they don't want to change things for the better. Every one of them wants to destroy the old guard so that they can instill their own brand of tyranny. It's all misery porn, all of it. And there's a bunch of rape and betrayal and all kinds of shit in it.
Yeah.
I mean, now,
is there any incest? Is there any incest? I don't know.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So it gets real weird. So there comes a point where you find out that Marika and her second consort, Radagon, right, are the same person. They've had 3 children together, at least 3.
Oh,
it's possible that Melina is one of them too. That your maiden. So they Radagon married what's her name? Begins with an R, runs the Raya Academy. Anyway, they have a couple of children who are like half god or whatever, because Radagon is a god. But you don't know this yet. She didn't know this yet, because Radagon is in fact Marika in her male guise. And then Radagon
God, wait, this is that goddamn movie that Jed and I watched 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So Radagon ends up leaving what's her face at the Raya, and then goes and marries his female aspect to become the second Elden Lord and the royal consort to Queen Marika. And then they have several children, all of whom are intertwined horribly. And the Shadow of the Erd Tree stuff is about Mikola, who is one of those children and the twin brother of Melania, right?
Melania, yeah.
So his whole shtick is that he wants to become a god, like a true god, because he's only a demigod at this point. But he's one of the ones capable of that. But in order to do that, he has to resurrect, beautify, and essentially make a consort out of his defeated and dead brother Radon.
Brother.
Uh-huh.
I thought you were going to say his sister Melania, his brother. Oh,
nope. Radon. Yeah, no, it's about the twin set. It's anyway. it gets bad. And it's all misery porn. And
Oh,
you either
God.
destroy this plot of his to prevent him from basically becoming God, or like you don't, and he does, and everybody lives under his tyranny of like extreme love.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, it's misery porn if you dig into the story. The story is fucked up.
Oh, God. I mean,
And that's bare minimum, bare surface scratching right there that I just said. So
there's something wrong with Germ, dude. There's something wrong with that guy. If this is the one thing he can do. I mean, oh.
it's always about incest and murder with him. Always.
Yeah, you're right.
They say they say that you write what you know. So I'm not saying anything. I'm just putting that out there.
I don't want to think that. I don't want to think that. I want to go to sleep tonight at some point.
What everything else he's ever written has been a ripoff of either actual events in history or Tolkien.
Yes. I prescribed once upon when the Game of Thrones was at its peak, its height. I had a friend who proposed to me this theory. Because he knew at that point I had tried it. I had tried the books a little bit. I had tried the show a little bit, and I didn't like it. So I wasn't too interested at all. But we would still discuss it because he was sort of dabbling. And he proposed to me a theory that was out there, and I liked it, when Germ started Game of Thrones, he was basing it on all the political events that were going on around him.
War of the Roses, I think.
Yeah, so he started based on political events, and the problem is he was able to pump out those first 4 books so quickly because he would still be able to work, or at least relatively. But then it started to slow down when he didn't like the way the politics were going on, and therefore he couldn't copy it properly with what he started, which is why he's had so much trouble finishing things, because he can't copy the world as it is because it doesn't fit with the way he started. Because, and now this is true, Germ is one of those exploratory writers. He doesn't really have anything planned. He just starts going out there and writing and sees where it takes him.
Mm-hmm.
Which, as a writer, boggles my mind because I have everything planned out. I know exactly where all my major points are. Some things may change along the way, and I'll move it around if I get a better idea. But, major plot points are kind of set in stone. I'm always heading towards a guiding light. I know where I'm going. None of this exploratory crap.
Yeah. Did you ever see the epic rap battles of history between him and Tolkien?
No.
There's a bit in it where Tolkien says, "You even stole my RR."
Oh man. Well, listen. I'm not going to deny that he has a legitimate claim to being an author, because listen, the guy created something that caught, literally, no pun intended, caught fire. It caught fire, and people got into it, and people who love the books love the books. And he wanted, the thing is though, he wanted to replace Tolkien. Hang on, I'm gonna cough. Damn it. And that's been going on all day. I start going off and suddenly my throat will cinch up all dry for some reason all day long. He wanted to beat Tolkien. He wanted to be remembered more than Tolkien was. And
yeah, but that's the thing. He didn't want to, so yes, you're right. But the way he went about it wasn't so much standing on the shoulders of giants, but to deconstruct and bury everything that had come before and stand on top of the pile and say, "I made this." The whole thing was about like tearing down what came before. He is the very epitome of progressive shit in fiction.
And here's the thing. If I can ever, and hopefully that'll happen now sooner rather than later, so that I can finally get to what I really want to be doing. If I get to the point where I'm getting my books out, and I find even this a small portion of success, thanks to all of you out there who will hopefully enjoy it and then push me forward and this and that. I keep giving you guys for books for like the next 30 years because I got so much to tell you for the universe I want to build. I don't never once have I considered, I don't want to be the next Tolkien. I don't want to be the next that. I just want, all I hope is that you find me worthy enough to put my books on your shelf along with that good stuff.
Sure.
That's what I did. Yeah. And
Look, an homage is fine. Okay.
Real quick, let me just get the super chat for it. Because last night I let Jay Fraser's go too long and I forgot about it yesterday. So Jay Fraser, 360 for 5 British pounds. Hail, Adam and Samuel. I have a Stargate video for you. The lost season of Stargate Atlantis, 20 minutes by Gate World about what would have been season 6. Ooh.
I think I might have seen that video actually because I followed Gate World for a while.
Okay. Well, how about we do that as a down payment, and we'll do that next week. Okay. Let's check that out next week because that way maybe we can get more people on here to react to it who want to get started. So thank you, Jay Fraser, for $5, 5 British pounds, and that is a down payment. We'll do that next week because that's automatic content for next week. We can go over that. We can go down a Stargate rabbit hole next week. That'll be great.
Devil's going to want to be here for that.
Yeah, and Devil will be here next week. He said he will be here. He'll definitely be here at the start of the show next week. So we're going to do that next week. So I will make sure to write that down so I do not forget. And we will do that. So thank you, Jay Fraser, for £5. Okay, Samuel, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Thank you, Jay Fraser. Fraser or Fraser?
I always say
Janet Fraser. It's Fraser. It's Janet Fraser. It's Dr. Fraser.
I always say Jay Fraser 360. So listen, never go to me. Never go to me for pronunciation. Remember, I'm the guy that up until I went to college, when I read the Dragonlance books and they had the floating citadel, I called it a citadel for like a decade because I just pronounced it out when I was reading it and I never said it out loud to anybody else. And then I was playing a game and I said, okay, we're at the citadel. And somebody looks at me and goes, I basically did it dermy. And somebody looked at me and went, what did you say? Citadel, floating forge. They just looked at me and said, citadel, you fucking moron.
You know what? I pronounced it with the hard K sound when I was a kid in my head, right? And then the first time I heard it out, I was like, oh, yeah, that's almost as stupid as it sounded in my head.
So never go to me for pronunciations. Never go to me. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So as far as I'm concerned, an homage is fine, right? Taking inspiration from somebody is fine. Everybody does that. There's no getting around that. Every variation of every story has been told long before you have come along.
You can't get away with it at all. You can't get around it now. You just have to do it in your own way and make it believable.
Right. What Germ was doing was not an homage. It was a deconstruction, which is inherently nihilistic.
Mm-hmm.
He was seeking to take something that everybody had loved because he hated the idea of good men and evil beasts, and there being like a clear distinction between the two of them. He hated that idea so much, like a true fucking progressive, that he had to do something to sully it, to put a stain on it. And he happened to get rich doing it.
Also people got into it because lots of boobs on HBO, lots of boobs, and it's people want to be entertained, and also it was lightning in a bottle. This was what year did it start? I want to say it started. What year was season 1 of Game of Thrones?
I think this is 2008, maybe 9.
I was going to say 7 or 8. All right, so 8. A lot of tumultuous stuff going on in the world. It's the it was the
had just come off the first writer's strike.
Yeah, and it's also we're in the recession. The collapse, the 2008 collapse, the stock market, the housing crisis, all that stuff. Obama's coming in and everybody's praising him as Jesus. And people needed escapism. People needed something to watch. And here came this show based upon these books that had a very cult following at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it grabbed everybody's attention. Because you had a really good cast, and you had at the time you thought a couple of guys, D&D, Dan and Dave, who were really good about following the source material. So you were getting just about a near perfect adaptation from what I'm told, and it captured everybody's imagination.
Well, that also came at a time when so HBO had about probably a little less than a decade before started to build a reputation as the home of premium television, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of their fan favorite shows were winding down or already over by the time
Yeah.
there was a gap in
Yeah.
in their output, because like Deadwood, I think, was finishing up at that time. Not Dead Like Me, that was on Showtime. 6 Feet Under was already over. That one was pretty popular.
Rome.
Um, Rome, Band of
Yeah.
Brothers, I think, was still going, but it was like,
Mhm.
yeah. So it was time for them to add new blood in, and this happened to strike right when there was just
Yep.
enough,
And
of an opening.
at the same time, this is the launch of the MCU at this point. The MCU had just taken off. So people are getting very genre. They're getting really pumped
Mhm.
for genre. They want fantasy, they want science fiction. And here was some gritty, hard fantasy that you didn't need to think too hard about in terms of its rule set. It was very grounded and it was
Mhm.
easy for people to get into. And it
Yeah.
captured their imaginations. And real quick, yeah, Ariel, I had not forgotten that you also made a down payment for a watch this week. I also want a bigger panel for that one because it's more fun when there's 3 or 4 of us complaining about whatever it is than if it's just me and Samuel. I mean, Devil might not be here until almost being done, considering the other show goes just as late as we are. So yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't forgotten. So yeah, I will. We'll get yours next week too. We'll make a watch party of it next week. We'll have some fun with that
Yeah.
next week.
Absolutely. Right above her comment too.
Oh yeah,
So Jay Fraser, that's you've never seen a single episode of Stargate, but your name's Jay. Like I want to
it's
explain why that's funny,
coincidence. Coincidence for
because
Samuel.
if you haven't seen it, this isn't a spoiler. The doctor for the Stargate program for the first 8 years is a woman named Janet Fraser. So that's where I
Well,
thought you were going with the Stargate thing.
at some point, we will probably watch some Stargate and talk about it for you guys. It's going to happen inevitably. It
Mhm.
will happen. Especially also a reminder before we keep going. If you guys haven't seen it, there is a poll. Samuel has because he already taunted me on it. There's a poll on my community tab concerning future content. I'm kind of putting Natural 20 on the shelf right now because you guys don't really seem interested in me just ranting about topical news things once a week. It's you aren't really you're not showing up for me for that. You aren't. You don't want it. And honestly, I'm struggling to do it because I have to work to put the show together. And if there's nothing for me to talk about, then I can't do the show. So last week, you guys showed up and had a real good time when I did the Acolyte autopsy. So I'm posing you guys. Do you guys once or twice a month want me to do a stream like that, or not? Maybe not an autopsy, but a single topic examination of something where it's an open door. People may come in, may not. It might just me, but it's mostly me and you talking about it. And so far, you guys seem to want that. So go vote on it if you haven't voted on it yet. It's on the community tab, and we will get back to that. So probably not this week because I do have Anime Odyssey this week, and I'm also trying to get something done for Wednesday, which will be a very pleasant surprise for everybody. It will be a pleasant surprise if I can get it done tomorrow. That's the thing. And Ariel, for $5 for this week, since we waiting, want to watch ERB Tolkien versus Martin. Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that towards the end then. So it's it's the rap battle.
Yeah, epic rap battles of
Okay.
history.
Okay, I will look that up at the end and we'll go because I assume that's not very long. It's like probably only like 5-6
No,
minutes.
they're not. They're usually not even 5 minutes, man. They're usually
Okay.
closer to 2 or 3.
Okay, so yeah, all right, we'll watch that to close out the show then. So yeah, all right. So thank you, Ariel, for the $5. But yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. What you said, it was a sweet spot. It was a turning moment in television that Game of Thrones just perfectly slotted into, and for 4 to 5 seasons, it captured everybody until Germ didn't have any source material left.
Yeah.
Listen. I'm an amateur writer, technically an amateur writer because I've never been published, even though I've been writing for half my life now. We're
It's
finding
funny
my
how that
heart.
works out, though, isn't it? Because I think
Yeah.
there's a bunch of us who are doing fucking streaming now because we couldn't get anywhere with the writing thing.
Well, it's not that I haven't got anywhere. It's just that I'm now using it to try and get my writing out there. I mean, I worked the real job. I did this. I did
Sure,
the
sure.
kitchens. But it's. I'm actually trying to use
Same,
this to get
same
it.
here. I
and-
just,
yeah.
I've never been published. Nobody wants to publish anything I've ever written. Most people don't even want to read the shit that I've written because it's kind of awful. And I don't mean like badly written, because I do understand a thing or
break
two
your
about
brain.
putting words
Awful.
together.
Break
But I
your brain.
mean, yeah. Look, I've made several instructors in English and critical writing classes cry.
I've never taken a writing class in my life. In 1996, I was, as I've said before, and this will make, I know Ariel's going to go squee when she hears this. I was very into getting into the RPG franchise Lunar on the internet. I just discovered that there was a Lunar community online. I've been playing the games for years, but suddenly, oh my God, it's Lunar community. I can talk to people about Lunar. And I found a website that had Lunar fan fiction. And I read some of it, and then I got an idea for myself, and I started writing it in 96. And in about less than half a year, I cranked out. Now it's the raw writings of a teenager. It was not the story was fine, but it was rough. I've gone back and looked at it in years past. It was rough, but people liked it. And after that, it got me into writing. And then I did Tenchi Muyo fan fiction, which I used to practice the craft. Had a good time. As I've said in the past, I became famous in the online Tenchi community. People, I won awards at the intercommunity awards show for my stuff. Got robbed once, but I won my fair share. And I realized I love writing. I really enjoy. I like making these worlds. Frankly, it was my escape for when I couldn't play D&D anymore because I didn't have my friends to do it with anymore. And also, I realized I cared more about telling the story than having them play the story. So I just started going that, and I spent the next couple of decades writing stuff, doing it, releasing it locally for just small groups of people to enjoy it, and then in the past few years shuttered it all finally. The private stuff, I wouldn't say it wasn't so much fan fiction based on other stuff. I called it fusion because I took a lot of ideas that were my own from D&D and using D&D stuff for my old campaigns, and I kept going forward with the story. But then I started working with other people, and they were using other games and anime in their fan fictions. So I kind of had to fuse it all together. But it still was really more about a single universe where everything kind of existed, but I juggled it. It was working, but then I shut it down in when Koof happened, and I decided I'm going to write my own stories, and now I'm going to make it my own original world based on everything. I'm going to rewrite everything, and I did try to get published. I've told the story many times. I got gate kept because I wasn't woke. Simple as that. Early on, like 20 years ago, it's because I was young and I didn't have the quality. But now it's because I'm not woke. But
Yeah,
yeah. So
like Ariel. No, it's not. It's not because I talked about watching UFC by myself and my fanfic's tentacle. I don't write fanfic. First of all, I do watch UFC by myself, but my hands, I swear, are above the table the whole time. But it's some of the shit that I've written. Like here's an example of one of the things that came out of my head, and this is one of the reasons I don't get fucking published in respectable circles. I wrote a story once, kind of trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper was, and it ultimately culminated in this batshit insane ending where the criminal, the villain, was actually a fully functioning hermaphrodite with an accelerated gestation period, so it would knock itself up, so it could have babies, so it could eat the babies, so it could survive on the desert island by itself. Like I said, I don't get published for a fucking reason. And that is 100% out of my own head, except for the Jack the Ripper stuff.
I mean, and Ariel, to answer your question, what I did at the time, this was back before they ruined it, and they said they were going to actually complete it in the right way, but they had taken so long, a lot of people gave up, that there would be the third OAV. So I wrote my own third OAV based upon all the evidence we had at the time from the first OAV and the second OAV, and a couple little things sprinkled out in universe and some other stuff. And I made my own timeline going forward. And I wrote a series of stories that really took off and made me a mini celebrity in the Tenchi fanfic realm. And I loved it. And unfortunately, that ended up being one of the first times that I never finished a series because I was working on the final story. The final book was called what was it called? Shit. First one was Will of the Goddesses, then there was Shadows of Forgotten Sin, and I forget what the third one was called now, but the third story was called. Anyway, I was working on it, and then they announced what they were doing with they released the third OAV, and then there was the fourth one, and I realized, wow, they've completely destroyed it, and it sucked my enjoyment out of it. I lost all faith and hope, so I threw it in the trash can. Now, I am going to take some of those ideas from those stories that were my original ideas, and they will be reworked into some of the stories I'm going to give you guys as I build the foundation of the universe that I'm creating. So you guys are going to see some variations of this going forward of my original content that I applied to existing characters in other franchises. That's kind of what I'm doing. Yeah. I mean,
that's cool. I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Underscore, you don't have to worry about that. The original manuscript went up in a fire because I was one of those temperamental quote unquote artists in my youth. And if something pissed me off, I'd just destroy it. There is no extant copy of it. This is just what I recall from my head like 25 years later.
Yeah, I still have all my stuff. It's all in a file, this and there. It's all backed up, so I don't lose anything. But of course, I wrote it, so I remember it. And so yeah, what I'm doing now for the writing is just this. I'm working on the first series, Chronicles of Rosetra. You guys have seen the first chapter. I've teased it a bunch. The first book's been done for 2 years. It's ready. It's copyrighted. It's ready to go. I just need the channel to be at a point where I can get 1,000 of you. I just need 1,000 of you to buy it, and then we're good. Then we're off to the races, because then that's enough money for me to do a bunch of things. And after that, then I mean, honestly, I should have had the next book done right now. I should have had it done. It's essentially done in here. I just have to start putting it on paper and organizing it out as it should be. I should have had it done, but between YouTube and life in general, I have not been able to quietly sit myself down and work on it. It's just, and also because the first book's not even out yet. But I will be, when all these books come out, they will not go up for a crowdfund, which is what we'll be doing for the early part of all this, until the book is done. So once the book is done, then the crowdfund happens. So you're not gonna be waiting for years to get this stuff. It'll happen. But what we have here now is I'm readapting the shit I've been writing for 20 years now is the thing. So I have to take out every little bit that is an IP owned by a corporation or an anime or a manga or D&D. I have to take all that shit out and fill in all that shit with my own stuff with variations of it. So I have to now do this first series is kind of the starting point, which is completely my own. Then I have to do a series which is inspired by Chrono Trigger to take certain events and characters or archetypes that have to be in place for that one. Then I have the thing that's sort of going to take the place of Tenchi in a various way with my original ideas that I came up with for the stories that I wrote. So I have to then do that. So that's 4 separate books right there for those. Then I have to do another one based upon an idea that I had come up with that was supposed to be a separate series on its own to fill the blank of another set of stuff that doesn't even really count because I never actually wrote it. It was just referenced. So I have to do about 7 or 8 foundational series to get everything set up before I start even getting to the first round of original main characters as they start the adventures that lead to the actual real adventure that happens later. So I have a lot of work to do. Fortunately, a lot of it's done, and I just have to either put it on paper because it was done either in a D&D game, or I just outlined and timelined the events, or it is literally written. There are about 4 or 5 books literally already written. I just have to go in and readapt it. And now some of it is when I was during my real constructive phase, still finding my voice. So it's a little rough. It's one of those periods of time where I was very into describing every little move in a combat scene, every little hand, arm movement, this, that. I was very into that. And I since have way graduated away from that. So I have to redo a lot of that stuff, but it's all there. I mean, the story is fine. I just need to readapt it. So when I get to that stage, that's going to go pretty quickly because it's not going to be very hard. But so that's the future, and that's why it's going to be exciting once I can finally really start doing for you guys, because the YouTube thing's always going to happen, but I'd rather get to a point where at times I'm talking more about my stuff and you're interested in it rather than commenting on the failure of Western entertainment. I mean, I'll still comment. It's the bread and butter. It's why we all started here in the first place. But I want to hopefully get to a point where it's only part of the whole thing. We're
Sure.
we're doing live streams where you guys are asking me questions and I'm coyly not answering them properly to frustrate you about what's happening on this story, what's happening on that story, where is this going there, how does that link up there? Because there's one thing I will say now, in anything I ever write, everything has a purpose. If you think you see something that might be something, it probably is. I don't include a little point here and there unless it's going to go someplace. And that's basically why the first 7 series, they all have to do with something that with one of the primary catalysts that drives everything forward. Each series will focus on that these artifacts that will be very important going forward, or how they graduated from their origins to where they are in the main world story. So it's all up here. It's a whole universe, all my rules, and the crowdfund is the beginning. And my hope now is to, once we get the YouTube really going and the crowdfunds are working, then we turn all of this into a small publishing company where I'm in charge of my own thing. And it's also then I want to be able to provide opportunities to new authors the way I wasn't given an opportunity, because I either was too raw and nobody really guided me properly. Because I got scammed a couple times, Samuel. I got scammed
Mhm.
trying to get help. I gave people money and I got nothing. So I got scammed a couple times. And
Yeah, well,
or give the opportunity to people who aren't woke and just want to put out good
right.
stories. Yeah. So
Well, and that's a risky take though too. When you try to go the old school publishing route, you have to jump through their hoops if you want to get anywhere, and that's not even a guarantee that you will get anywhere. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how well you perform for them. If they don't think that you're worth investing in, they'll say real nice things to you and leave you hanging on that hook. The other option for a long time was self-publishing, which is A, expensive as shit, and B, you also have to do your own promotion, which
Yep.
makes it very difficult to sell copies. Like my father-in-law wrote a book about his days growing up in the West. Here in the high plains and stuff, growing up a ranch hand, and it's not bad. It's not a bad book, but he's got, I think, 1,000 copies just sitting around his house because nobody bought the damn things, because he couldn't pay for promotion,
Yeah.
and he paid
That's
for all
why,
of those copies out of pocket.
and social media. That's why
Yeah.
YouTube is so important. That's why I took the advice of people that said, build your base, build a
Yeah.
foundation. Because if I have people, and also have a network, because let's look at the person right now who is the template for doing this type of thing, Eric July, the Ripaverse. He is the template for doing it yourself, and look how successful he is. But go look at Eric's YouTube channel. It is not the biggest channel in the world. He doesn't get a lot of traction. What he gets is traction in the Fellowship Network. That's where his traction comes from online.
Yes and no. His traction
Well,
on
he
his
also
YouTube
has
channel
other
has
businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, his traction on his YouTube channel has dropped somewhat since he got this whole publishing ball rolling, because he's been working on the publishing thing and not so much as YouTube. It's pretty rare that
Yeah.
he puts out anything that's not a live stream these days.
Yeah.
Prior to that, though, the guy was hustling on YouTube for like 15 fucking years.
Oh, yeah.
right?
But that's
He
not
did
what I
make
mean. What I
some-
mean is he wasn't doing 100,000 view videos, is what I mean. He wasn't
Sure,
a massive
sure,
channel,
but
but he was doing the grind. He was doing the
yeah,
grind.
and what he was doing was he was saving up whatever came in, and that's how he was able to push to get that start a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Because he paid for all the ground floor shit out of pocket, but he was able to do that because he had been grinding for years and putting that money aside.
And he does other things. I mean, Eric July has other business ventures that he's involved
Well,
in.
he's a
So
musician.
he's a political commentator on the Blaze and all that stuff. So Eric was doing all that stuff. But when it comes to the promotion online, the network that he was tied into, the Fellowship, that was full balls to the wall promoting him constantly,
Mhm.
and therefore it was the marketing happened. It was organic marketing that he didn't have to pay for because that's the era we live in. That's why that's one of the that's why I started this channel. I didn't start this channel because I had to get my voice out. I started it to build the base because I wanted to contribute to replacing what's been lost. I just so happen to also enjoy doing the pop culture commentary. And unlike Derek July, I don't have those types of savings because I have been very unwise in my business ventures in my life. I have
Yeah.
not made a lot of good decisions. I have a lot of debt.
Right, and
so
that's
I can't do
that's
it. So
key.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because like that is key. This is the one thing, whatever side of this whole like Rippaverse thing you fall on, whether you're a fan or not. And personally, I'm not a fan of the products. You know, it's not my thing.
I'm not
I hope
into
he
it either,
does
but I
well.
respect it. I just respect
I
it.
I was like for as far as the rivals over the quote unquote rivals over at Comicsgate, the ones who are actually producing for their investors, I hope they do well too. I have no
Mhm.
pony in this game at all. But I will say that one thing you can't deny about the man, it was that he was very, very wise about how to spend his money.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, though, I actually have to go the regular crowdfunding route, which, as you said, will then pay for the printing and the fulfillment. Of course, if I'm in a right position, I want to try and do the fulfillment myself and save myself thousands of dollars by doing it.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't be that hard. You just rent a small space and just put everything in, get in the mail. I'm going to try and do that, but we're not there yet, and I'm not so worried about it. But point is, I will start that and I'll get it going, and then it will build and build and build. And I want to get to that point where hopefully there's enough revenue coming in, because when it's just me, I'm the only person that I have to pay for this. Yes, I will pay a cover artist at one point for a cool cover. I will pay the printer, but when it comes to actual net profit, I'm the only person I got to pay. So,
Yeah.
unlike the comic artists, where there's a lot of different hands to make a comic happen, there's only just me, because my pre-readers, they do it as a favor and they help me out and they enjoy reading it. They don't mind doing it, and I'm not asking them to edit. I'm asking them to simply edit the content, not the grammar, because
Yeah.
I did uh basically professional grade papers and projects in school for a very long time. I'm my own editor. I don't need anybody to edit me. So all I need is
Yeah.
making sure, because, and I've had people say, dude, this doesn't make sense here. Can you change this? Can you make this more clear? Try not going in this direction. And I accept that criticism and I change it because I'm open to
Yeah.
people, because they are my audience and I can hear that. So I have a plan. There is a plan here. I'm not simply on YouTube just to hope that I make a massive, great YouTube channel. I want to do something with all this. And that's the goal. Just make a small publishing company, like Samuel said, that isn't trapped by the rules. And at the same time, I will say this now. I've already said in the past, so I'll say it again. If at some point you come to me, you being somebody out there, and you say, I have an idea. Am I good enough for you to publish? And if I like it, I'll say, yes, well, here's our contract, but you get to keep the rights to your character and your IP. I don't own your IP. You own your IP. Whatever I get paid is because I'm the basically vehicle through which you get out there, because that's what legacy publishing doesn't do, though. They own your shit when you go there. And they can do whatever they want with it and sell it off to make a TV show or a movie.
That's been a problem with a lot of guys, especially young guys, going all the way back to when IP creation started being a big thing in the early 20th century. You get these guys that go in and they'd have these big hopes and high dreams, and they'd be like, I have got this character here and he's going to go on these adventures and all this stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, come on board. We'll pay for everything. Just sign on the dotted line. Oh, what's that little clause there? Don't worry about that. And then later on, they look at it and they're just like, wait a minute. And the company's like, oh yeah, by the way, we own everything that you have published up to this point and everything that you will publish in perpetuity in relation to this IP. It's all ours. You don't get a goddamn cent.
And that $100 million movie that just made profit on, sorry, here's your $10.
It's like Bob Finger, for example, or Bill Finger, rather, for example, is a prime example of somebody getting fucked out of his cut. Bill Finger, for those of you who don't know, was Bob Kane's partner in creating what became Batman, right? As far as we can tell, there's some evidence to suggest that Bill Finger is who created the Joker. It wasn't Bob Kane, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Bob Kane enjoyed the fruits of those labors pretty much up until he died. And it wasn't until right before he died that people started paying attention. It's like, wait a minute. He's just a hype man. He's not a creative. How have we missed this for 70 plus years?
Because
You know, and of course, Bill Finger's long dead at this point, and gets no recognition until well after he's died.
It's the same thing with the guy who made Thanos. When Thanos became big from the MCU, he didn't get a single red cent of that.
Jim
He got
Starlin,
nothing. Yeah, Starling. Yeah, he got nothing. Thanos, big ass me. When literally the MCU was making money, he got nothing. Nothing. So that's. I mean, I know I've told the story before, but we're getting new people here. I'm getting new subs every day,
right?
So people might not have heard the story, and that's what. By helping me out on this channel, by watching the videos, commenting, talking in the chat, hitting that like button, subscribing, you're helping me get inching closer to where I can then take this to the next level and actually achieve my dream. Because that's my dream. I just want to write my stories. That's all I really want to do. I just want to write my stories and give them to you and entertain you. I don't care about making TV. I don't care about making movies. It would be cool if it was animated. I would be up for that, because that's, to me, how I look at it in my head. Sometimes I see it like anime when I see all this stuff.
It was kind of interesting, because what you're talking about doing is the same shit that Todd McFarlane and company were talking about doing when they formed Image Comics, and for a long time, that's exactly what it was. All of the IPs were 100% creative owned. I think that might have changed in recent years, but that was their whole mission statement: was we are sick of creating things for Marvel and DC and getting nothing for it, and we don't even own our creations. So they went and they created Image Comics, which did really, really well for a long time. It actually got so big that it ended up competing with the two companies that the vast majority of their artists and writers had left to create this for. And they owned all their IPs. And the ones who started out at Image still own their own IPs. Todd McFarlane still owns everything to do with Spawn, everything. Even and this, get this. So Neil Gaiman created the character of Angela.
Really? I didn't know that.
Who is in Spawn. Yeah. He actually wrote the episode she first appeared in. He created her and all the lore to do with her. Todd McFarlane owns that too.
Whoops. You see, now here's the thing. Like I said, if we get to that, if and when, I want to say when, because I believe it's going to happen. We just keep going in this right trajectory. And somebody comes in, has an idea, says, "Here's my story. I'm working on it, or I've got it done. How does it look?" And I say, "Okay, that's good." But here's also the opportunity. Your thing can be a standalone, all on its own. But if it fits in, you could insert it into my universe, but it would still be yours. And the only rule is, then don't do anything that interferes with the main story. And if it's good enough, then I'll incorporate it in the main story. But you still get your cut of it, because your stuff gets it. Like, there's a couple of guys I worked with on my original stuff. They created 2 characters and a bunch of ancillary characters who go with their basically stable. When I decided a couple of years ago that I was going out on my own, I was going to redo everything, I sent them emails and I said, "Listen, I'm restarting everything. I'm canning what you guys have been helping me out with for years." And these are 2 guys who are great. I haven't spoken to them in the while. It was basically internet relationship. Only met one of them once in real life. But these are a couple of great guys. They were always so easy to work with. They just said, "Here's what I want you to do. Let me know what you're doing." And all I had to do was check in and say, "Here's where we're going with this." And they would just go, it was just, "We trust you. You've treated our characters right. We trust you." Because I basically brought their characters to life. I gave them these worlds to live in and play in, and all these adventures and all these outcomes and relationships. So I said to them, "Guys, I'm doing this. I'm remaking a lot of stuff, but your characters are so good. I don't want to lose them, especially everything that they've added to it. So what's going to happen is, when I get to the point where your characters enter it, or stuff related to your characters enter, you will get a cut of the pie. I will make sure we work out a deal where you get where you get rights to these characters, you get paid. Because it's only fair." Yes, I may have given the characters their stories, or given them all this to do, but it's still their characters. I didn't create them, and I don't want to recreate something that is already perfect the way it is. So I'm going to do right by these 2 dudes when the time comes.
Right.
And I kept the emails where I said to them, so I still have it in writing, where they said, "You could use our characters." And I said, "I will pay you for it when the time comes. I'm not going to buy the characters off them. They'll get their royalty payment, is what it'll be. We'll get the lawyers involved, and we'll work out a nice, easy agreement that everybody's happy with. But it will be, the people who came up with it will get their share. Because that's the fair thing to do. Get their share. Because So I'm
Yeah.
a firm believer of people. If you create your shit, you should own it. You should own it. So when I get my publishing company going and you get in there, it's your character. You simply pay me for the use of printing and fulfillment. That's what you pay me for.
Yeah.
And possibly
So I've
editing
got-
services if I have editors on staff at that point.
Yeah. So I've had a character and story in the back of my head for a while now, and you know how that goes, where it's like sitting back there, but you're not quite sure where it's going to fit in, and you haven't figured out quite the right world to put it in, and all that shit.
Yeah.
And like the story like exists, it's in my head, right? But the fine details, the world and all that stuff, I'm still drawing a blank on. So I'm working on all that shit. But yeah, if that ever comes out, yeah, that's all mine. I ain't signing that shit over to anybody.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you mean people could want to put an end to my generosity? I haven't even done anything yet. Well, listen, those two dudes, nobody knows who they are. They are not. One of them might be subscribed to the channel. The other one, I don't think he is. We haven't spoken in a long time, but I ended on good terms with them, and I will follow through with that. And no one's going to take advantage of my generosity. Those are the only two people I have to pay out for original work. They're it. So when going
Ariel's
forward,
just gonna take advantage of your unconsciousness when she.
but Ariel wants to take advantage of my holes. Okay, that's what she wants to do, and I'm not going to let her do that. All right,
it's the roofie.
Listen. I'd never taken a drink. I never take a drink up and handed. I don't do that. And I cook my own food, so nobody's putting shit in my food. Well, listen. I doubt I'm ever going to be a giant publishing company, but I'll be my own little section. And let's be honest, legacy publishing, it's hanging on by a thread right now. It's doing terribly because they fully legacy publishing and the agents that are the gatekeepers, the agencies now. And I know that because now in this current day, you can apply to an agent online through their websites. You can do that. They full went for the SJW current day agenda. Full bought in. They're not interested in what we do. They're not interested in that. There are dozens, probably hundreds of talented creators and authors out there who have been kept out of the current day legacy publishing system because their ideology did not align, or they didn't have any ideology at all. They just had a story that had no ideology in it. Now, for me, it's my ideology did not align. So I was just
even Hollywood, man, we're hearing stories left and right about people who just got turned down because the writer was white. Had nothing to do with the story.
Yeah. Oh, Ariel, it's not comics. We're talking novels. We're talking novels. We're not talking comics. I'm not doing comics. I do novels. We're talking, eventually some cases phone books. I mean, my first ones are all going to be like 200 to 400 pages, but right now there's in the main series, the Children of series, I call it. It's called the Saga originally. Each one has Children of in front of it, and then it gets it separate after it. The fourth book in that series, called Children of Destiny, on its own, currently, the file, it's 800 pages. It took me 2 years to write it, and that was because I was doing other shit at the same time. It wasn't completely devoted to it. When I'm devoted, I can crank out a 300 to 400 pager in about 6 months if it's all I'm doing. I'm a machine. Basically, I don't want to say I'm like Brandon Sanderson. I can crank out a book in record time. And Brandon Sanderson is also the template of crowdfunding. Now, granted, he's one of the only guys that exists right now that is a big name author that can command that. But he is also the template of crowdfunding can get you places if you have a fan base. And you guys are my fan base. So I'm hoping that I continue to entertain you, support me. What I'm saying is this, though. No, I lost my point. God damn it. Lost my point. too many tangents at the last second there.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about here,
Yeah.
I'm more of a short story guy though, because if I try to write anything longer, I have this unfortunate Stephen King-esque tendency to fucking meander into places I don't need to be going.
Yeah, you see, I'm locked in on my story. So I remember now. Yeah, right there. So what? No, it's novels. So the 800-page book, I might have to break that into 2 separate volumes at this point, because the entire story still works, even with the replacement stuff I put in there. But I don't want to take anything out of it. Therefore, and now some parts of it are going to have to be slightly rewritten. some of it, not all of it, just some of it. But that's 800 pages. I don't want to drop a phone book of 800 pages on somebody, so I might do it in 2 volumes, part 1, part 2, something like that.
Oh, you're gonna
That's the
pull into
biggest one.
Magica.
Maybe.
Are you familiar with the Magica?
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I do.
It was a novel by Clive Barker. It's over 1,000 pages long in hardcover.
Okay,
but when
no,
it
I was
came
thinking
time to
something
put
else.
out the it came time to put out the paperback versions, and it was too thick for that. So they literally just picked a point in the middle. It wasn't even a good point. They just picked a point right in the middle of the book and chopped it into 2 volumes and sold it that way.
You see, there could be an exact stopping point because in book there are 2 interludes in that story which are taking place in essentially a separate time and place for certain characters, and there are certain points where I can cut it off very easily and say, okay, the story stopped right here, because when you resume, there's been a time skip when you come back. So there are stopping points, because that's the way my brain works when I organize stuff. I know when things are moving around. So that's the biggest one. All the other ones, they're around 300, 400 pages. And so I'm okay with phone book fantasy, but it's not my norm, because I kind of feel like somebody wants to read a 200 to 400 page book. They want to knock it out maybe in a week. They don't want to sit down and do the giant phone book. And also, I am very selective with my descriptions. I do just enough so that you could see what's going on, but I'm not going to be overly detailed. It was a bad habit I tried to mimic when I was reading Robert Jordan for the first time, and I realized, wow. And in rereading it, I'm like, wow, he goes into way too much detail. I don't need every little bit of lace curve or color,
Yeah.
this or that on a dress. I don't need to go into that. Also,
I haven't read
because,
any Robert Jordan, but Brian Jacques does the same thing with the fucking
Yeah.
the feasts and the songs and shit go on for fucking pages describing every
Yeah.
dish. It's awful.
Yeah. So I refined my combat. My guilty thing was, like I said, the combat. I go every move, every inch, and I've refined my combat to I don't do the cheat that Robert Jordan does, where he just says the whispering in the wind, which is supposed to be the move they do, and you have no idea what the hell it looks like. It's just he says it, and you're supposed to create in your head. I do describe an extent of what's going on, but then I do a combination of show don't tell to get you through it, where the combat is happening, and I try to keep it organic and fluid without every parry, repost, strike, slash in there. So what I do have to do is this. I have a problem that I'm going to have to deal with. When I was writing for the fun part, I was very, and again, Ariel's going to make fun of me over this, being very anime shonen influenced. Attacks had names. I'm going to have to find a way around that, because the names are all damn good, but yeah, I can't be shouting the names in the middle of
All
a
the
serious
best fighters
novel.
call out their finishing moves.
I know. I mean, there are names like Heaven's Breaker and Heaven's Wake and stuff like that, and all this kind of stuff, or Backlash. I'm very influenced by anime stuff, so I'm gonna have to find a way around that going forward, where I get the attacks out there, but I can't. Where the attacks can have names, but I can't have the names being shouted out or the names being constantly talked about. So that's something I'm gonna have to adapt to, because I wasn't so much taking it seriously back then. But if I'm doing a serious thing like this now, I can't do that. I can't do it.
You know who actually is a pretty good template for writing action, right? Is R.A. Salvatore has this knack for just writing fluid, engaging action without getting repetitive, without having to describe every single blow and riposte, and it's like you're watching it in your head. He's so good at that, and he's an excellent example to take from if that's more what you're looking for.
Oh, I mean, I've read a lot of R.A. Salvatore. I have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere. It's somewhere in my brain that is part of my refined action writing now. Because I'm pretty satisfied with the way I have it now. But I wouldn't be surprised if you look at it and say, yeah, that's kind of what he does. I mean, Jed likes it. Jed has seen the whole book right now. He says it works pretty well, the action scenes. So
the one that stands, obviously all the word and stuff, but the one that stands out in my head, there was a side novel where I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but the 2 main characters were Artemis Entreri and Jarlaxle Boehner. And it was like reading an Indiana Jones movie. It was awesome. It was one of the most entertaining books I've ever read in my life.
Yeah, so there's certain habits I'm going to have to break. And that's part of when I say, when I readapt these books, I'm going to have to readapt them, because that a lot of that's in there. So I'm gonna have to, and of course, like I said, for at least 2 or 3 of those books, it's my writing style from literally 15 years ago, and my voice and my tone has dramatically changed because back then I was still borrowing a lot from other authors as I was trying to figure out how I wanted to present myself on the page. Now I have my own voice. My voice is my voice. I'm not
Mhm.
borrowing anything else. Although, like you said earlier, you can't avoid borrowing from other people because this is 2024, soon to be 2025. Everything's been done. All the concepts, all the themes is done. Your job is to take it and make it your own and put a spin on it and hope that people are entertained by your version of it. But there are some things that I'm going to obviously sort of be borrowing. Like my main, one of the main families, the main family, family line, because it's not so much a family, but my avatar in all my gaming for the past 20 plus years, Roas Atreides. But I spell Atreides with an A instead of an EI, but it was my homage to Dune when I made the character because I loved the name so much, but I didn't want to have it spelled like that, so I spelled it differently. I'm going to keep it in there. I don't care because it's showing my respect to Herbert because I loved him. I love Doom. So that's my
Mhm.
shout out. But it's that kind of thing. Or now this is something again, I have said this before. Obviously, I'm into it. I love Kroll. I love the glaive. I'm going to make a concerted effort at a certain point to license the use of the glaive for myself so I can use it. That is something I will pay out to try and get. Hopefully, I think Sony currently owns the production company that put out. I think I tracked it last time I checked that it currently is owned by Sony. And I
Yeah.
was so glad when Jar Jar fucking Abrams, when his Kroll reboot got the kibosh, because that really would have effed me over. But
You know,
I'm gonna try. Let me see. I'm confident I can do it because whoever has the glaive has licensed it out to several other things over the past few years. So they have no problem letting it out there. So I'm hoping I get my hands on it because it's not going to be the Kroll glaive. It's just going to be the glaive, its basic functions. But then I have my own lore for it, essentially. But I want to call it the glaive, and I want it to look like the glaive we all know and love. So I'm going to try and get that. If I can't, I have a backup. I have a backup idea. But I'm going to make an effort to get it. And I'm not going to lie about it because I love it. It's great. Go ahead. Say your point. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, legally speaking, as far as like the rights and all that stuff, I don't know how easy that's going to be to untangle. But in terms of lore, if I remember right, so the beast was not from that world, right? He was from another world, and neither was the glaive because the beast feared the glaive before he ever came there, right? Which indicates that the glaive could and would appear in other worlds. So lore-wise, there's actually no problem with it being in different IPs.
Here's the thing. When I got into it, now I had a friend when I was playing D&D. At the time, he told me the biggest big fish story in the world, and at the time I believed it because I was a youth and I was just dumb. But he said that the glaive was one of several legendary weapons, and then we incorporated it into everything. And he said it's really old D&D stuff that was never released. And I know he was lying his ass off now, but hey, he was really creative, so I went with it. I appreciate it. It's what got me down the particular storyline that I'm working now. What I'm going to be showing you guys is based off our adventures that we had with our characters. So I've got a whole lore to where the glaive came from, what it is, and its significance. I have a whole thing for that. So but you're right. It might not necessarily been from Kroll because where it came from, because you see it. I mean, I put it in my intro. It's in space. You never know where it came from. And at the end of the movie, it got sucked back into space with the Black Fortress.
And who knows where it ended up after that? Hell, it could have ended up in Army of Darkness for all we know.
And that's why I happily grabbed onto it when my character was using it in. I mean, my original character found. I'm going to change how he finds it in this one. Originally, there was a D&D box set called the Council of Worms. You guys remember that one out there? It's Council of Worms, and I had it. And my character, when he was on the run, trying to not be bothered by people, he ended up on the Isles Bloodchain Islands, and he did a favor for them. He basically uncovered a plot by another god to try to get a foothold in their territory, and they gave him the right to take anything from their treasury, anything from the treasury, to take out one treasure, one thing. And as he was rummaging through it, he found the glaive. but it wasn't fully powered because it was missing the crystal in the center. So it was underpowered. It had its just a basic ability, but he found it and it called out to him because he was the one who was the next one who was supposed to take it up as the warrior of the glaive. So that's how I found it, and then he's carried it on, and it's a whole thing now. And he even lost it at one point because it got sacrificed to do something else. But that's part of the lore. Part of the lore. I don't want to spoil it, but I love the glaive. I've been a fan of it ever since I was 7 years old and I first saw it. I loved it so much. The idea that this thing flies around and you glide it and it makes the sounds and the spinning. I love it. I love the glaive so much. I love it. I just want to write these stories. It's so much fun. I can't wait. Oh, we've waxed poetic about this stuff. And that was a lot of fun. So that was going. But Samuel, you have to answer for something.
Oh, what this time? Is it cat related?
No, it is Twitter related because I only saw this because of you. I think you know what it is.
Spider thing?
No. What the fuck is this? What is this?
I don't fucking know. I saw that late last night. I was like, "What?" That's what I said. Did you not see my tweet? I said,
I did. That's I know. I wanted. Where did you find this?
It was in my feed.
This is so wrong.
I hate this so much.
This is so wrong. What is this? It is so creepy.
Like, is it baked in there or molded or what?
I mean, that's a foam, I think. How did it
or
get
some
in there?
kind of like squishy sponge cake?
And how did it not get melted? I'm so confused. And it's scary. It's creepy.
I didn't like it either. That's why I said, what the fuck? So I follow this account called Hollywood Horror Museum, and they follow a ton of stuff. A lot of the stuff that they do is horror movie related, but sometimes they post something like this that has fucking nothing to do with anything, and it's just like, what the fuck?
Well, I saw this and I just thought, I guess whenever I don't know when I saw it, it must have been before I went to bed because I bookmarked and I'm like, wow, that's messed up. And I have replied to your spider things too. No, just no. I have replied to a couple of those, but it was that. No, Legatus. No, there's a whole the 5 legendary weapons I'm talking about are not whatever that is. No. And they're not that. They have a completely different origin. So just to continue that question. So this is weird, and I wanted to see if you had an answer for this. Why I had to see this?
Because I had to. Because I had to. That's the answer. Because I had to see it. Everybody who follows me had to see it too.
One of those things, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just had to. Now since I had to see it, the whole stream had to see it too. All right. So I have 2 topics. But I'm gonna skip one of them because maybe not. We'll go with this one first though, because in about a week, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about with storytelling tonight. Zack Snyder is gonna release his giant cut of Rebel Moon on August 2nd. And there's a trailer out. We're not gonna watch a trailer. Don't worry, we're not gonna do that. But why?
I don't know, because he wants to, because he figures the Snyder Bros will pony up for it. And they will.
But here's the thing. It's saying his vision, his true vision. He released
Wasn't it always his true vision?
It was Netflix gave him full control.
He had carte blanche, didn't he?
Yes.
What the fuck did he just decide all of a sudden, oh, well, I was getting in my own way and I didn't let me release my true vision or some shit like that? Is that what's happening here?
All I know
is he getting is he sucked into the meta hole? Is that what's going on?
I have no idea because like I said, there's a trailer out. I watched it before the stream, and we're not going to waste our time because it's just. Also, we can't watch it because there's some naked bodies in it, and YouTube won't like that. So we can't watch it because it's a red band trailer. But so it's graphic. It's got extra stuff in it that maybe answers questions that we all complained about. But I don't want to sit through 6 hours. I don't want to sit.
You know what?
What?
I think you just answered your own question, though, right? You said it may have stuff in it that answers questions because he got a lot of flack on both parts from people who had watched it about things that didn't make sense, things that didn't quite add up right. A lot. And a lot of it was very coherent arguments and stuff like that. And I'm wondering if he went back like he did with Justice League and reshot a bunch of shit.
No, this is the extra shit that he cut out because I don't think he reshot it because it's all in those scenes. The scenes are just slightly added material. And yes, Alex
Oh,
Vane,
so this is just going to be
there's
longer and
actual
harder to
tentacle play
watch.
in this. There is tentacle play. You see a tentacle being shoved down a dude's throat. The tentacle thing he had, the tentacle thing that guy who played Francis in Deadpool, as I called him in my reviews, he has tentacle sex with the thing that has tentacles. And there's a shot in the trailer where it's forcing the tentacle down his throat. It's very Japanese. It's very Japanese.
I like the tentacle sex in Galaxy Quest because it was wholesome-ish.
Hey, they were consenting. They were consenting in Galaxy Quest. It was consenting. But so he's releasing this thing, and just for an example, in the trailer, if you watch anybody who watched a second part or watched me watch it and report on it, in the engine room, there's this giant face thing that's the engine that it gets blown up. In this one, it comes to life, and it looks like this chick has to fight it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't. I mean, you say the Snyder Bros, but I don't know who this is for, because this thing got destroyed when it came out. Both parts.
This isn't for anybody. This is for Zack Snyder's ego.
Okay, that's a good answer. I like that answer. I appreciate that answer.
You know, and I'm not against somebody who's in the arts putting out something because they want it to be what it is. I actually argue for less fucking interference from outside parties. You know, so like whatever, he wants to put something out. It doesn't, whether it's good or bad is no skin off my nose. Good for him. But this isn't for everyone else. This is for Zack Snyder.
You're right. It's his. I think I said it myself and others did. He was extremely self-indulgent when making this. There was no filter. He just did whatever he wanted. And problem is, he doesn't know how to tell a story. It's all flashbacks and montages and slow motion. The choreography was god awful. The effects looked terrible. And the characters, you can give me your 6-hour movie where they all get more backstories. They're still not interesting characters.
Yeah.
They're still not interesting.
See, Ariel asks, is it like Event Horizon? I wouldn't say. I didn't watch Rebel Moon, but I would argue probably
it's not
anything like Event Horizon, because it was a very contained story about some big ideas in a small space. And also it was good.
I never watched Sucker Punch.
Once I heard it was just, I have.
I know you have. I know you have.
I have never talked about Sucker Punch extensively because
yes, you have.
There's a part of me that very much likes that movie, and it's not a good movie.
Yeah. Once I heard what it really was, like, yeah, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not doing this.
I'll loan you my copy.
No. Fine. Listen, I always did like 300.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't write that.
Yeah, he was kept on a leash for that.
Yeah, he
didn't
write that. Watchmen. He didn't write Dawn of the Dead. He didn't write Watchmen.
Yeah, but I didn't like Watchmen anyway because I don't like that whole story anyway. I don't like zombie movies, so I didn't really watch Dawn of the Dead. But when he's kept on a leash, he can do good stuff. But on his own, he has no self-control.
Yeah,
there's no self-control.
Yeah, that's true.
He does whatever he wants, and Snyder Bros are a real thing. I've been yelled at by Snyder Bros for not getting it. When I say, fine, you get it, I'm going to complain about it. And listen, like you said, be creative, do what you want, but don't keep pushing it out there after it's already been rejected.
Right.
I mean, I get the Snyder cut for Justice League because what got released wasn't his movie the first time around.
And that couldn't be helped given the circumstances. That's not his fault in any way. And honestly, it wasn't really Joss Whedon's fault either. He got hired to clean up a mess that got left behind by outside circumstances
that had been noted to death at that point.
Yeah, and he did the best he could
Yeah.
But I don't blame either one of those directors for that movie. I blame the studio and I blame the
Mhm.
circumstances that caused the situation in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate and I wish hadn't happened because it's an awful
Yeah,
fucking
it's
thing.
tragedy. It's tragedy. And
Yeah.
listen, I watched Snyder Cut once. I saw it once when it came out. I did a review on it because that was what we were all doing, and I said it was okay.
I liked
I
it
still I
overall.
was all right. I didn't hate it, but I never need to see it again. I've rewatched a couple of the scenes and clips over again because
Yeah.
I like that opening Wonder Woman scene is really good. That's a really good scene where she's putting on a full display of her powers. I dig that. I dig it when Superman comes in at the end and cleans house. I dig that. But, I don't really need the rest of the movie ever again. Also, I also personally did chafe at his indulgence in making it 4:3 aspect. I fucking hate that. What is this? Cube block television from the 90s, early 2000s? No, give me widescreen. I don't want to watch a square. I don't like that. Call me a snob at this point. I hate it. Only thing I'll watch it is if it actually exists in that, like a movie from the 30s or the 40s. That's acceptable. But no, don't give me 4:3 aspect ratio, Snyder. Do that. The hell, dude. I don't appreciate that. But it was fine. It was fine. I didn't hate it, but I didn't. Lost Samuel. I was wondering why he wasn't replying to that. Lost Samuel. All right, he'll be back in a second, probably. Shitternet happens. Has Ron Howard done anything recently? I don't know. I don't know. They're pushing his daughter a lot for shit. Pushing his daughter. I guess it is the modern equivalent with Donner. Except here's the thing. Donner cut is actually good. The Donner cut's actually good. It's actually really good. Jed and I are gonna do that. Yeah, here we come. Come back. We got you. It's I don't understand why we have to put up with this. This has already been rejected. And now we just said this isn't a Snyder cut Justice League situation where he didn't get a chance to put his vision out. He put it out already. It's done. It was rejected. Now, this is coming out on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you've already bought into it. And listen, I didn't have Netflix when I watched the first one. But I'm not gonna bother this. I'm not gonna bother with this extended thing. I did my tour of duty, Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2. I'm not doing it. And okay. All right. So Ron Howard did do something recently. Okay. Isn't that thing Hillbilly Elegy? Is that what it's called? People talk about that. Are you talking about Ezra Miller Flash? Here's Samuel. Are you talking about Ezra Miller Flash, Ariel? Because that movie was terrible.
Oh yeah, Ezra Miller runs like a female palsy victim.
Oh yeah, Legato. There, Jim Henson was a genius. I mean,
yep,
Henson magic is Henson magic. That's why Farscape is awesome because of Henson magic.
Farscape is awesome. The Muppet Show was awesome. Fucking parts of Star Wars are awesome because of the whole Henson thing. Dark Crystal came out of that. Fucking yeah.
I haven't. I was never really into Hellboy. I mean, I've seen the trailer. It didn't really do anything for me. But I'm not really into Hellboy at all. I didn't read the comics, so
I haven't heard about this. Is this supposed to be a sequel to the David?
No,
what's his name?
It's a brand new thing. No, it's brand new. It's a whole new. They're doing a whole new Hellboy. I guess
live action or animated?
Live action.
Jesus Christ, that's the third reboot.
Trailer came out, I think, 2 weeks ago. It did not get received well. It was not received well. Yeah. Especially after the Harbor one, that did not get received well.
No, that movie was shit. And I like violence in movies. It's terrible.
I have the original Dark Crystal right there. I have the original. I did not see the series because it was a prequel. And you guys know my stance on prequel. I was like, nope. And I heard it got canceled. So
yeah, I never watched the series. I have seen the movie a couple of times. I'm not the biggest fan of that world. I was just really remarking more on the
kids movie. It's a
Yeah, the
kid's
Jim
movie. Listen,
Henson, production company and their prowess for doing fucking incredible things with puppets. But yeah, that was never really my thing anyway. So I never watched the series that they made from it because I don't have that big a connection to the story or the characters.
I mean, I was obsessed with this movie as a kid. I bought this out of pure nostalgia. I've only watched it once since I bought it. I got it on the cheap, like $5, and it holds up as a kid's fantasy movie because it's made for kids. It's not really that deep. It's very simplistic, but it is a masterpiece of Henson magic. It's a masterpiece. The Skeksis, Aughra, everything is it's beautiful to watch. If you're gonna watch it, you're not so much. I wouldn't watch it for the content; it's the story itself. I'd be watching it because I appreciate the magic that is Jim Henson. But when I was a kid, I was obsessed with this story. I used to
Yeah.
reenact the final moments where he leaps off and drives the shard of the crystal. I used to reenact that shit as a kid all the time. My mom tells a story. Well, I was one of the books she had to. Doesn't matter that I've seen the movie a million times. Had an audio book. She had a book that I had to have her read to me every night when I went to bed. And she tells me a story. I think it was before my dad died. She was reading it to me, and he walked in, and she looked up and says, "You need to take over. I'm going to lose it if I have to read this one more time to the kid." So he had to take over. That's how obsessed I was with the Dark Crystal as a kid. I loved it so much. It is a classic. I would say show this to your kids. It might be a little scary. I mean, it has some scary moments, but it is
Yeah,
beautiful
if your kids
children's
are
fantasy.
pussies.
Well, yeah, I'm saying. Hey, listen, Skeksis might be scary at first, might shock a kid.
Yeah.
But and the Gartham were scary as a kid, man. Garth.
Well, sure. There were scary things in
Yeah.
movies when we were a kid. When we were kids, they don't put scary things in movies for kids now. There used to
Yeah.
be. It used to be all the time. Our movies were fucking hardcore.
I mean, the Gartham that was a fantastic thing. These things that they can't really fight, and you hear them coming. It's like, oh shit, here come the Gartham. I mean, it's great. So I do recommend this for kids. But
Yeah.
as an adult, you're gonna nitpick to death. But it is a kids movie. But it's glorious. I love it. But like Samuel said, for different reasons, I didn't watch the series because it was a prequel, and I didn't care about a prequel. I don't care about the Gelflings before they were all killed off. And then it got canceled. So what's the point? It got canceled.
Yeah.
It didn't get a second season. So I didn't care about it. Well, listen, Labyrinth is different. Labyrinth is a thirst trap for, moms while they're watching it.
Labyrinth also has a fucking kick-ass soundtrack. It's a lot of fun to sing
that's
along
Bowie.
to.
That's Bowie.
Yeah.
Power of the Babe.
What babe?
What
Power.
babe? What babe? That babe. Power of the Babe. I mean, that whole final battle is literally a Bowie music video.
It's a Bowie music video that takes place in a fucking MC Escher drawing. Like it's a little hard to watch because of the dimensions that they're using.
I mean, listen, Labyrinth is great. It holds up. It is still a great movie, but it works because of Bowie. That's why that movie works, because Bowie was an entertaining genius as well. He knew he could act, he could sing, and he could put on a performance. That whole movie is just Bowie putting on a show, and also more Henson magic. That's another example of a movie that has outstanding Henson magic in it.
Tons of it. I think there was a lot of stuff in there that was also used in Fraggle Rock.
Yes,
like
yes,
not
you're right.
specific characters, but like specific techniques that they used and stuff was very prevalent in Fraggle Rock, and I think to an extent Sesame Street.
And yes, it had Jennifer Connelly before she got her first boob job. So yes,
Before she was 18.
Yeah, yeah. And then she went on to do B movies where she got boobs and took her boobs out. And then she got older and took her boobs out and went back to her previous cup size. So hey, it's a thing. You can do that. But listen, that one movie that she does with what's his name, who looks like Matthew Broderick, whoever we say like the dollar store Matthew Broderick, where they're trapped in basically a Walmart overnight, and she's riding on that carousel bike and she's just moving up and down and her boobs are moving.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't remember what that movie's called.
I don't either, but everybody remembers that scene.
I remember that scene. Yes, I don't really remember the rest of that movie, but
nobody else does. Not really.
The movies I remember with her in them tend to be a little scarring.
Well, there's I know there's one movie that's scarring. Then she did a B movie where at one point she's sitting on a beach with somebody else and she's topless and they look fantastic. Back then they were great. I appreciate that very much.
I was thinking of another movie with a beach that features in the plot, but she's not topless in this movie. It was called Dark City.
Oh, Dark City is an excellent movie. That's an excellent movie.
Yes, it is. And Jennifer Connelly is gorgeous in it.
Yep. That's a movie where it fucks with your
Art Deco 1950s thing.
It fucks with your brain, but in a good way. In a good way. Because that's a good movie. That's a good movie. I rewatched that last year at one point. Last year is the last time I rewatched it. That's a good movie. I highly recommend that. Hell, we might do that on Drive-In. Maybe I think I'll do that on Drive-In next year. We're running out of time this year because of we're coming up on Mordor Country, and that's going to take us all through September and October. But yeah, Dark City is good. Yeah, it's where they can change the city with their thoughts, because it's really just a city floating out in space. It's a good one. It's a good one. But what the story's good, but it's also
spoilers,
good
by the way, because you're not supposed to know that going in.
Yeah, they're gonna forget about it later. She knows what she was talking about already. Doesn't matter. And besides, I'm sure everybody tonight who's here has seen Dark City. Career Opportunities. That's it. Career Opportunities. There it is. That's the one where she's on the thing with Dime Store Matthew Broderick, whose name I don't remember right now. Have I watched 10th Kingdom?
I don't think I've heard of it.
I think I know what you're talking about. Let me see. Let me type that in. I think I know what you're talking about. Let me see. There were some things that sounds like that I did skip, but let me put that in there. No, Adam, type properly. The 10th Kingdom. Yes. This was a mini series, I believe, if I remember correctly. It was a mini series. It did not do. Yeah, well, here it is. Yeah, it was a mini series. I remember seeing it once. I don't remember if I liked it. Interesting cast. Rutger Hauer, John Larroquette.
Oh,
Ed
I don't know.
O'Neill,
Maybe I should watch
Ed
it.
O'Neill in makeup. Jeez, look at that.
I fucking love Rutger Hauer. I think he's probably the single most underrated actor from the fucking late 20th century.
All right, what's your favorite Rutger Hauer movie? I can tell
My
you
favorite
mine.
Rutger Hauer movie, probably it's either Lady Hawk or The Hitcher.
My favorite is Split Second. We need
Split
bigger
Second's
guns.
good. Yeah.
Bigger fucking guns. I love that
That's
movie
good.
so much.
See, the Omega Man was good. Obviously, there's Blade Runner, where he plays Roy Batty.
That's in a category all on its own.
The dude would act in literally anything, and it didn't matter how
Hobo
shit
with
the
a
movie or the
shotgun.
script was. Yeah, it
Hobo
didn't
with a
matter how
shotgun.
bad the movie is or what the budget was. He would give a fucking performance every goddamn time. He's always worth watching.
Yeah, I always love Rutger Hauer. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, right. They're opposite Paul Rubens of all people.
Yeah, I know, and that's after his after Paul Rubens had his scandal with the porno theater.
Yeah,
that was after that.
In fact, I think that was the first thing he did after that scandal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I love Rutger Hauer. I've always enjoyed Rutger Hauer. He was great. R.I.P. Rutger Hauer. But yeah, I want to do Split Second for Drive-In, but I'm so afraid to show it to Jed. He had neutral feelings. He actually had no feelings on Real Genius. He had no feelings.
Really?
He didn't hate it. He didn't love it. Because it was
kind of meh.
It was just a movie, and he wants me to ask him later this week what happened in it, and he guaranteed to say that he won't remember what happened in it because it just kind of was there, and it didn't offend him. Because I had to squeeze out the show on Saturday because I was ready to talk about it, but he had nothing to say because he was just like, "Yeah, I just kind of watched it, and that's it. I don't have any thoughts." He gave a score of not applicable. He couldn't score it. That's how little he had a thought on it.
I think that Jed's ability to enjoy movies is somehow handicapped.
I would have. It sucked because Devil wanted to come on, but because of his job, he couldn't do it. And that would have been that was one of those movies where I think it would have been benefited from a third or fourth person there, where people who maybe grew up with it like I did, because that's an 80s movies through and through. It's got a lot of
Mhm.
montages. It's a very simple story, and it's Val Kilmer carrying that movie from left to right. But it's just fun. It's just fun. It's enjoyable. But hey, listen, I'm just happy I didn't get a golden child or legend situation where he hated me and was planning his revenge the next the next get me.
Both of those are good movies, Jed. If you're listening to this shit, you were wrong. That's all there is to it. You were wrong.
Well, next week we're doing Sahara, the Clive Cussler book adaptation. Sahara.
Oh, the illegal Clive Cussler book adaptation.
Yes, I believe you're right about that. Yeah. Well, and then I've chosen my movie for the following week. I guess I'll not know for my week because I have to make up for providing a movie where we couldn't have a conversation. So I'm going with something that has so much meat on the bone that you're going to have to go back for other helpings. For in 2 weeks, one of the last drive-ins we're going to do before we get to Mortar Country for the next couple months, Lawrence of Arabia.
Nice.
Yeah, we're doing Lawrence of Arabia. I want to do Lawrence. That's meat on the bone, man. That is meat on the bone. So I'm looking forward to that because it's been about a year since I last watched it. So I'm in the mood to watch it. I'll go borrow my mom's copy because it's in her library, not on mine. So I have to go borrow her copy. But that's a good. I love Lawrence of Arabia. It's so good. That's a cast, man. Sir Alec Guinness, Sir Peter O'Toole.
Oh, speaking of Peter O'Toole, if you guys get around to doing comedies, have you ever seen a movie called High Spirits?
Yes. It's a little corny on a I rewatched it a couple years ago, but it's got a great cast:
Yeah.
Steve Guttenberg, Liam Neeson, Peter O'Toole. That's a good one. That is a good one. Wait, who played?
I had never seen that till my ex-wife introduced me to that movie about 8 years ago. I fucking loved it. I enjoy the hell out of that movie. It's a lot of fun.
It's a fun movie, but it's really corny. But it's got a really good cast to it, which is what makes it fun. And they ham it up. The thing is, they lean into the ham in it.
It kind of straddles that line between like standard comedy and like spoof. It never quite goes over into spoof, but it's got a couple of moments where it feels like it might.
I mean, it's got Liam Neeson showing off his ghost boner at one point. High Spirits is a good one. Yeah, I was recently compiling comedies from the 80s, and that's comedy from the 90s, so I didn't get it. So, but I'm probably going to throw that into my comedies from the 90s collection because it's a nice little easygoing movie with a great cast, and it's a fun little movie though. Yeah, so I have seen that one. No, this is the one. It's the Matthew McConaughey one from 2011. Ariel, that's the one we're talking about. Another. Well, I mean, Clive Cussler, his books just do not translate to movies. They just don't. They just do not. They don't. All right. I got one more. Do you want to talk about Sammy? Do you want to talk about Ubisoft and its failures? Or you want me to put that on the shelf for another time?
I mean, we can. I don't know. I haven't played an Ubisoft game in fucking ages.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? I'll save that for another time because note their stock is plummeting and their shit Star Wars games about to come out. So there you go.
I think Bug would probably be a better source on that one than I am. I think he keeps.
Well, I mean, and also Jed and I think Devil too, because we've all played the Assassin's Creed games. But I played
through Assassin's Creed 3, but I stopped because that's where Desmond's story ends, and after that, there's no point in going any further. As far as I'm concerned, the story's over.
Yeah, and I just want to talk about it because of the new Outlaw Star Wars game comes out in like 3 weeks, and it's gonna do terrible. They've spent more money on that than any game in their history. We're talking like movie budget levels. So it's gonna be bad. Naked Gun. I don't find amusement in those movies anymore. I just don't. I mean, it was funny when I was a kid, but I don't laugh anymore. Maybe it's because maybe the Zucker brothers don't really entertain me anymore as the thing. They did when I was a kid. They don't anymore. It's just me. I would still make sure you watch them, but I mean, anyway. All right, so you know what? Now let's wind it up then. Let's do that rap battle. What was it called? Let me go back to the chat right here.
It's J.R. Tolkien
ERB.
versus George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, I see
yeah.
I see to type it incorrectly. That's all. ERB. No. Stop. This is, ERB Tolkien. If I could spell correctly. Tolkien versus Martin. Okay. Here we go. 2 minutes 49 seconds. That should be fine. All right, so let me do this. Let's make it the full screen.
Yeah.
And
Usually when you get to the who won, you decide part, that's the end of the video. So
okay.
yeah. Anything
so-
after that isn't really necessary.
Okay, so here we are. This is ERB, 14.9 million subs. They don't need my promotion, obviously, but we give them credit for making this. So go to the actual, check it out.
Yeah.
They get all the credit.
They've got years of content on there. They've slowed down quite a bit in the last few years, but they they've got tons and tons and tons of stuff on there.
All right, so let's watch this. Tolkien versus George R.R. Martin, epic rap battles of history. I'm already biased. I already know who's going to win and haven't even seen it. So let's go.
George R.R. versus
They do such a good job with the characters.
Raise yourselves! Gather up your trolls and your soldier elves! And your ents and your orcs and your wargs and your stings, your dwarves and clam drains! Cause there's a new literary lord in the ring! My readers fall in love with every character of...
I'm just going to pause it periodically so that I we can argue transformative. Is that Jon Snow? Is that supposed to be Jon Snow?
I think it is. I think that actually comes up in one of the lines here, but they do such a good job with the layered lyrics.
Yeah.
Right. Almost every lyric means more than one thing. Like they did one I think 2 years ago that was Oppenheimer versus Thanos. And as in Destroyer of Worlds. And at one point Oppenheimer says I'm gonna something about splitting you from 2, 3, and 5 or whatever. Anyway, it basically uranium-235, but it was also a diss on the guy, like saying, "I'm just going to kick your ass and split it in half." Kind of thing. It was very layered, very well done. It had like 3 meanings. It was awesome.
I can already see they took their time to have this new literary Lord in the Ring.
They have a lot of obscure references too. A lot of obscure personal references.
I missed this line. My readers fall in love.
Readers fall in love with every character I've written, and I kill them. And they're like, all your bad guys die, your good guys survive. We can tell what's gonna happen a page in age 5. You're all seeing how to find some sex in your movies. Ditch the Goonies and cast a couple movies. There's into your plots and not even the known. Your Hobbit hole heroes can't handle my throne. Queens.
All right, so listen, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Martin hates the classic tropes. He hates it.
Yep.
And
specifically, I think he hates Tolkien. He will never say out loud that he hates him, but I think he does.
I would lean into that. I don't feel any disagreement there, because he hates the fact that Martin likes the gray area. He likes to live in that gray area where it's your truth, your perspective. And he hated that Tolkien defined things. I hate that.
Yeah.
All right, so kings, queens.
Dragons, dwarves, horses, fortresses, magic, and swords. You have made my whole shit, you uninspired hack. You want a war, George? Welcome to Shire Rock.
Some great fucking lines in there.
Shire Rack. And see, that's the thing. Listen, there's no getting around, if you write fantasy fiction, that Lord of the Rings is the foundation upon which we all tread. And you pay your homage, you pay your respects to the man and his genius. And then
he invented the high fantasy genre.
Exactly.
Right? Before that, it was sword and sorcery, sword and sandals, right? There were a couple of other like smaller genres that are still out there. But high fantasy, specifically what he wrote, there were tons of imitators, and some of them are very good. Terry Brooks, for example, wrote some very cool stuff. And there are, but he spun a whole subgenre
world.
of fantasy that
He created
I
world
mean,
building.
there
is what
aren't
he
that.
did.
There are only a handful of guys who can claim that particular honor, and they all come from the same fucking era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right. So that is a deep cut right there. You hacked. You stole everything, and he did. He did.
Yeah.
And we all base it off of
You
those of us
hobbit my
who
whole shit.
those of us who don't hate Tolkien, we say thank you, sir. Thank you
Mhm.
for allowing us to play in this ever increasing playground that you helped create and build the foundation.
I would never have gotten to read Magic Kingdom of Landover series by Terry Brooks if it had not been for his inspiration growing up reading Tolkien. And that series is fucking amazing. I love it. So thank you to Tolkien for everything that came after as well that he didn't actually write.
He
And in
created,
fact, Germ owes him his fucking existence too.
yeah. Oh, we all do as we write, because he created the standard of elves as we see them now. He
Mhm.
created the idea of orcs. Orcs. There is no concept of orc without Tolkien. There isn't.
Right.
Yes, 40K, standard D&D, greenskins, it's been altered, but it comes from him. Just as beautiful elves, pointy ears comes from him. And we say, thank you, sir. Thank you.
You got nothing to say. I'm number 1 and 2. You're under 50 shades of gray. I got the pros of a pro. Your shit's subpar. You're a pirate. You even stole my RO. We all know
See? Right there.
Chance and anarchy. So yes, it's true to life for characters that die randomly. But newsflash, the genre's called fantasy. It's meant to be unrealistic, you myopic vanity.
Because he's got glasses.
And he's fat.
And also his vision is narrow and stupid.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I didn't pick up on that. That's good. That's good. I like that. Yeah. Hey, listen,
Legatus, you're right. Legatus, Robert E. Howard did basically invent the sword and sorcery genre alongside his contemporary H.P. Lovecraft, who invented cosmic horror. I mean, the only other person I can think of who invented something before that, maybe Mary Shelley could be credited with inventing science fiction. And because she was right, she published Frankenstein before Jules Verne was publishing, or Edgar Allan Poe could be credited for creating the detective mystery genre, which he did with Murders in the Rue Morgue. But they were much earlier, but everybody else was like right around like the early to mid 20th century.
And they are all, every author you mentioned are a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And they set the standard. And we try to simply take it to the next level. And listen, George was influenced by everybody, but he still made his own thing in the end. And that's why Star Wars, real Star Wars, is glorious, because it is his thing. But he just he was influenced, and he paid homage. There's difference between outright copying and paying homage. George paid homage.
Yeah.
Current day shit, they just copy. Just got to watch The Acolyte and Leslie Headland. You'll understand that. All right, so here we go.
Conscientiously object to what you're doing.
That right there. Hold up.
Yeah.
He conscientiously objects. Like, I don't have a problem with conscientious objectors, but that is pretty fucking funny.
You like my teeth,
Beauty
and the Beast.
Go ahead.
He says that because Tolkien was a soldier.
Yes. Man saw war. That's why he wrote this stuff, half that stuff, because it was his country was feeling so much damage after the loss of World War One.
Yeah.
He needed something.
And I think Germ was in fact a conscientious objector during Vietnam.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, listen, a lot of people were, for whatever reasons. I mean, historically speaking, there's a lot to complain about that war. A lot of it.
Right. That's true. And I know that we're kind of like, I'm making you stop every 10 seconds or whatever.
No, it's fine.
Every fucking line has layers.
I don't mind, because it makes it transformative. If I get a claim, I can argue transformative, because we're talking about it and we're adding our own commentary to it. But it is funny. Now, what is he writing there on the screen there? West of house, you are standing in the open field west of the White House with a boarded door. There is a small mailbox here.
It's a word fantasy from fucking 1982.
It looks like an old mud. It looks like a mud, like the old mud games, the precursors to MMOs. That's what it looks like. Jeez.
Yeah.
Object to what you're doing on these beats. I'll cut you like my teeth on Beauty and the Beast. You went too deep, Professor Tweed Pants. We don't need the backstory on every fucking tree branch.
I mean,
a
to be
legitimate
fair,
dig.
that's a fair point.
Yeah, the 20 pages on a tree meme for Tolkien. Only 20 pages on the tree. That is a fair point. But he still made his world and he still finished his stories.
Cut my teeth in the trenches of the Somme. You locked your Santa Claus ass through Vietnam. Man, it's hard for me to take criticism on clothes. From a dude who sends a raven to say hi to his toes. Your fat jokes are worse than your pipe smoke. My show's the hottest thing on HBO. I'm rock and roll, you're a nerdy little nebbish, and I may be dirty, but you got a hairy foot fetish, dog.
Since I haven't seen this, I think the counter will be, Lord of the Rings has made way more money than Game of Thrones. Way more money. Those movies. The movies aren't failed. People love them still, and people don't watch Game of Thrones anymore. There you go.
Even the names of your characters suck. Got buffers and buffers and brandy bucks. I got a second breakfast for all them goofy fucks. Lift up my gut and teabagging's my nut.
Okay, first of all, I don't think Germ has any room to complain about names. His names are fucked up and weird. So weird that I can't remember them half the time. They don't roll off your tongue very easily. And they all sound the same.
I'm kind of surprised anybody knows how to pronounce Targaryen, to be honest. It's spelled stupid.
You know, I think it's one of those situations where somebody else had to say it first before you knew how to say it, I bet, when it happened. I mean, listen, everybody's names sound the same. Everything sounds the same. The Riverlands. I mean, the Crown Lands. I mean, that how goddamn generic can you get, really? So he has, as far as that comeback, that's not good. That is not good. Now, listen, Tolkien's names also get out there, but he did it first. So suck a dick, Germ.
C.S. Lewis and I were just discussing how you and Jon Snow both know nothing. Because the backstory on the box office is billions. Got my children billions of my silverillions.
Billions, that's it.
Yep.
Game of Thrones made millions. Lord of the Rings has made billions.
And it's still making money worldwide.
Yes.
It's still being published in new editions to this day.
And I love that drop there. Me and C.S. Lewis were talking. That's even more brilliant.
Yeah.
That they were friends and they collaborated on thoughts and shared thoughts. Who is Germ? Germ is notorious about, I can't work with anybody. It's all mine.
C.S. Lewis. Yeah. Lewis was another excellent example of an author who, whether you agree with the allegory that's very obvious in his stories or not, he is very inventive and he was very good at building a world and filling it with characters that you wanted to follow and find out about. Like, you know, he was a good author and he built something pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
And he showed Tolkien a thing or two.
Yeah. Two guys who got along. So.
Said I'm more rock and roll than you ever been. Don't believe me? Ask that John racist.
Okay, I don't get that cut. I don't get that cut.
I think Led Zeppelin made a song about them.
I'm not into Zeppelin.
Something to do in the Lord of the Rings. I'm kind of surprised you didn't reference Spock there, because while the design of Spock from Star Trek was inspired by Tolkien elves, the guy who played him, Leonard Nimoy, also later wrote and performed a song about Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit.
Oh man, yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, Tolkien's winning this already. He is winning this.
Too towering. Every time I'm at it, return of the king.
Too towering.
Who won? Is this it?
Yeah. Who?
Okay. Tolkien won. I mean, I told you I was biased going into this. Tolkien clearly won because we just got to look at the facts. He finished his story. The actual story's finished. There are a lot of untold stories in between, but it ended. It made more money. It's still beloved. People will go back and watch it over and over again. Nobody is watching Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 8. Or if they do watch it, they stop at a certain point. and
Right.
it's
Like-
not done. It's not done.
Well, even the lyrics, I think the lyrics in this alone kind of make that point for you too, because in it, when Tolkien's speaking, he's talking about the things he's done or the things that Germ has stolen,
Mhm.
or he's talking about how successful his property is. All Germ is doing is getting into, I mean, yeah, and he throws a couple of like personal insults in there too, but Germ gets into the personal insults right the fuck away, and all he does is try and tear down what Tolkien has done. He doesn't really prop up his own shit.
Because his shit can't be
Yeah.
propped up because it's empty because it isn't finished. It isn't finished, and he's more interested in telling side stories than finishing his main story or telling a history. And that, I mean, I heard people complaining about before House of the Dragon was even made on the book itself, Fire and Blood. People complaining that he wrote a history book, so because it didn't require extra stuff, didn't require. Ariel, you didn't. I was going to do it anyway, but thank you for the $2. I was going to give you the bonus, but thank you $2. ERB, Jim Henson for Stanley. We are going to. I was going to do it anyway. I saw it. But thank you. And we'll do that in a second. I want to finish this conversation here. But yeah, so I finish your story, George. He's not going to. Even if he
No, he's not. He's
magically
going to die
gets out,
first.
even if he manages to magically finish the 5th book, there's no way that 6th book ever gets done. That ain't
Well,
happening.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like he's old and he's got all the money he wants in the world, and he bought himself a nice little choo-choo train and shit. And the fact of the matter is he won't finish those books because he doesn't fucking want to.
He also is afraid because we saw what his ending was going to be. We know his ending, and he's not creative enough to change it. He can't figure out something new. I mean, I think what is it? Brand the whatever. That is your final king. That Daenerys was always going to go mad, and he has no way around it. He has no way around it. Not at all.
Yeah, I think Ariel's right. He's a Japanese anime writer. It's never going to end.
Hey, listen, stories ended.
He's going to pull a berserk first.
Well, listen, that's not that guy's fault. That he had an actual illness. He's not fat with a heart full of cholesterol like George. No, what the hell? God damn it. That's not fair though. Plenty of anime have endings. I've got shows over there that have endings. I just finished a series this week that had an ending. Data Live, season 5. It's over now. It's done. It's finished. It's over. Series have endings. That's not fair. You know that, Ariel. All right, so here we go. Jim Henson versus Stan Lee. Here we go. Right now, I don't know what to get out of this one because this feels like a strange one to me because Jim Henson is created, but we're talking Muppets versus X-Men. I don't know what they're going to fight about.
Some of the lineups are weird. Like sometimes they'll put together things that are only loosely related to each other. Like they did one that was like a while back. They started getting very, very political in the last few years, and they did one that was like Trump versus Obama or some shit like that, and it turned like fucking Hillary Clinton shows up in it, and I think John McCain makes an appearance at one point, even though he's like dead at this point. And then Abraham Lincoln flies in on an eagle and kicks the shit out of everybody. And I mean, it was a weird thing. Like every once in a while, they do these strange things. They did 3 parts of Darth Vader versus Adolf Hitler.
Okay, let's see how this one turns out. I'm curious.
Stanley! What's up? Jim Henson!
They should have said Stan the Manly. They should have said Stan the Manly.
Yeah.
Greetings, heroes. Stan Lee's here to battle. It's the mind behind the Hulk against the geek beneath the flag. I'm just your...
If he doesn't say Excelsior, you better say Excelsior. And Fraggle Rock is acid, dude. Fraggle Rock is acid.
Right. But the line there was the geek beneath the Fraggles, which is because he's a puppeteer. He's literally below them. That's hilarious.
Friendly neighborhood writer man with a secret identity of a super MC whose raps are as dark as my shade. You squealing like you're in trouble now, Jimmy. You dirty old hippie. Your beard needs a little bit of snip and skippy. Heck, that face on your neck ain't sexy. One pot sweetums, the other pot skexy. Step up to Lee and you get
Skeksis,
Ooh.
Dark Crystal, the Dark Crystal. All right, stands opening strong here. Stands opening strong.
your butt kicked. Your Muppet Snuffleupagus stuff is butt kiss. Broke for Igno and the comics code. So keep your frog and pig show moving right along down the road.
I'm glad you got that out. That anger can clutter your mind.
Oh, very nice. He's a Kermit. I like that. I like that. And he's very calm and collected.
You're a creative man, Stanley. Yeah. So let's just leave it behind. Because I can sense your tension. Once the verbal fencing starts commencing, there is no defense against the dense Jim Henson is dispensing. And I'll clench all your strings like you're a puppet in suspension. Call your superhero friends in. Yeah, because you're going to need a vengeance. Let me mention, I'm impressed by all the vision that it took for you to sign your name on all of Jack Kirby's comics.
Oh,
that's
That's a
harsh,
heavy
but
blow.
probably true.
It's a heavy blow. I mean,
Look,
there's the question.
Jack
How
Kirby
much
is
was
one of those
Kirby?
authors like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't get credit for hardly anything that he did, and
And-
he,
and-
without Jack Kirby, there is no modern comics.
Yeah, I mean, there's phrases, the Kirby crackle. You know, he has
Yeah.
he had a certain style that was a
He had
foundation.
4
at the time.
colors.
Yeah, I mean, Stan wrote a lot of these characters, but Kirby did just as much. He did. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a deep one.
A lot of the stuff that is credited to Stan Lee was at least co-created by Jack Kirby, if not totally.
Yeah. I mean, remember, Stan was
Stan-
a
yeah.
writer, not an artist. He was the writer for all these things, and
He's a front man.
yeah, and listen. Stan is also one of the best hype men in history.
Yep.
I mean, everybody loved Stan Lee because he made it fun.
I mean, yeah, if it hadn't been for him too, like
Yeah.
again, modern comics would not be the same as they are now. It's not that he did not contribute, but
Yeah.
he did. And Marvel, the company that they founded together, became notorious for this. He did take credit for other people's work.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
Nice try, Frogman, but Jack was a friend of mine. But that was a low blow. He did his own thing, and now you've made it clobbering time.
Ha 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 ha.
Oh, you
I
taught
love the puns,
children
man.
to.
What was that?
I love
Say?
the puns.
Oh yeah, okay.
The
Yeah,
puns.
I'm not a punster. I don't enjoy puns, especially when people have to work for it. I accept them in this because it's part of the shtick here. I accept that, but people use puns against me, and I hate them. I hate them so much.
Out and spell. Then you taught your own kids how to drop your wife on it, and you flopped on SNL.
Oh, that's an insult. That's an insult. That was mean. That was mean. That was mean. That was low.
I'm telling you, Ensign, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I'm a marvel of a party pooper. I'll snap your turtleneck like a doozer stick and put you out to pasture like Mr. Hooper. I'm sorry, Jim.
Oh.
Sometimes I can't control.
Hooper. Oh, I should know this one.
That is too far.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember that one. You have to explain that one. I don't remember.
Mr. Hooper was the beloved general store owner on Sesame Street. He passed away in the early 1980s, and it was a big deal. They almost canceled the show because they didn't know if they could go on without him, and instead they just mourned him on camera.
Okay. I think I was too young. And I don't think I was watching anymore at that point. So,
Yeah.
because I'd grown out of it, so I didn't know that Mr. Hooper died like that.
He was
I
an
knew it sounded
original cast
familiar. I just
member,
couldn't.
and
I just could
yeah,
not
he-
connect it. I remember him visually. I know what he looks like in my mind, but I didn't connect that because I guess it was after my time in terms of knowing about it. Because this is 80s. There's no internet, so unless you're tapped in, you don't know. That was low, dude. That was low.
My rage. Honestly, there's a lot of things that you can't control at my age. But the truth is, I miss you. You were gone too soon. You were like watching a beautiful sunset at noon.
Oh, Stan, don't be sad. We all have a time to go. Yeah. Most of the internet thought that you died 12 years ago. But the poor will always be fantastic. The hope will always be incredible. The words you wove within the hearts of heroes are indelible. There is no beef between us. We're two minds of the same kind. And there is no man who could...
Oh, so they're going the friendship route? No, we
It's
still
only
got half of
halfway
the
over, dude.
Yeah, we got half a video to
Yeah.
go here. It's gonna fall apart. It has to.
Never muck with what we left behind.
I rock the mic.
Oh no!
Yep.
A man named Walt. Oh no!
Who owns all of their collective IP?
No. Yeah, that's true. That
Turning profits, I got the key. I'm the juggernaut of stacking nuts on stuff.
I'm the juggernaut, bitch.
The Disneyland lord of your intellectual property. So get back to work. That's my time you're wasting. I didn't buy you for billions so you could play around debating. You belong to Disney, which means you stay busy cranking out magic and assembly line with.
God.
Yep.
I feel sad.
This is on fucking point.
That hurts so much. And this is why we hate Disney.
I just wish they weren't using Walt's face for this, but yeah.
I know, because Walt wasn't like this.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah,
No,
that's the thing.
Orbital Bacon.
Yeah, a Bacon. Now that's the thing. Walt was very based, and that's
You're 100% right.
100%
100% right. And also,
this makes it
not an
funny,
anti-Semite.
No, not. That's a lie.
Not at all.
That's
There
lie.
isn't a single scrap of evidence other than Kami saying that he was.
Yeah,
Just saying.
That's the whole reality inversion shit, that they will take shit that they do and pin it on somebody else. But yeah, so it makes it funny that it's him though. That this makes it funny, but it's wrong. It's wrong.
It's kind of like they're shitting on his legacy here too.
Yeah, they are.
Begging me to stop. I won't let them. Labor conditions in my show. I don't sweat them.
Oh,
that's.
Enough to make a mouse gigantic. With only 3 circles, I dominate the planet.
That's
Clearly,
facts.
Well, it used wait, hang on. When was this one put out? Let me see. When was this one put out? 8
this
years
would have
ago.
been, I think,
8 years ago.
yeah.
It says 8 years ago. 8 years ago, that was true. 8 years ago.
Mhm.
Not so much anymore. Not dominating the planet anymore.
Well, even if you go back even if you go all the way back to when he started out, like what he did, he drew 3 circles. That's what
Yeah.
built his company, 3 circles.
True. Oh man. Okay.
Owning this battle. In fact, I own this whole series. So hop on my steamboat, boys.
Yeah.
I'll put a smile on your face and green in your pocket. You'll be safe and insured when you're under my employ. Now look at it. Gaze upon my empire of joy.
Oh,
That is fucking
God.
harsh.
That is, and 8 years ago, that was the truth. That's what we were all freaking out about 8 years ago. That Iger was gobbling up everything in sight,
Right,
And
but
suddenly, and where's the antitrust laws?
Yeah. Yeah. And the Empire of Joy here, coupled with the sweatshop line, you see this is all just a bunch of Asian artists who are like scrunched together working all the time for him. And he says Empire of Joy. It's like, you have to wear a smile. It's like, this goes back to certain countries in Asia have suicide nets deployed because this is the work conditions in your average cubicle office over there. And people get crazy.
Yep. You are correct, sir. You are correct.
I think this was a season finale one too.
Oh, okay. That's why they're showing all these ones here. Okay.
Well, you'll notice that they haven't asked you who won.
Yeah.
Because we know who won. No one.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because we all lose. Well, let me see if there's anything left of this. All right, they're just going to show this thing going forward. All right. So, that's no one wins because Disney owns them all. Disney owns them all, and that's the horrible truth. But look where it's got them right now. We talk about it all the time. And Bacon's right, man. We all lose because everything that Disney has gobbled up, they've made it worse. They didn't make it better. And
arguably, you could say that conditions for their employees are pretty fucking horrendous.
They
too.
just all
They're losing,
unionized.
too.
They just all unionized.
Did they?
Yeah. A bunch of them unionized at the parks. The cast members at the parks just unionized.
Kind of surprised
They're
that
about to
Disney
go on.
didn't just can a lot of them.
Well, they're about to go on strike if the rumors are true. I think Drunk 3PO is going to be reporting on that stuff through Park Hopping and stuff like that. That's just they're about to take it. Disney's about to take another major hit because of that. So
That's interesting.
good for 'em.
Because
Good
like
for 'em.
when Walmart employees tried to unionize, Walmart stepped in and fired everybody who had even considered thinking about it, and then replaced them with someone off the street the next day.
Yeah, let me get it up real quick. Last thing we'll look at, just so I can back up what I'm saying.
I believe you. I just haven't seen it because I
just want the I want to see. I know
parks.
it's a Disney Workers Union. Here we go. Disneyland Park employees vote to authorize strike, and there it is. 14 hours ago. Here we go.
So it's very recent. Yeah.
It was this week. It was last week, and it's real. So yeah, they are Disneyland cast members authorized strike. Yep. There you go.
Well, seeing as how the parks were really their only cash cow at this point.
That's what's been for years. That's what was propping up all the woke venturing, all the destruction of properties. The parks kept money going in there, so they could keep pushing out and take every L that they took in the MCU animation department and Disney Star Wars. And listen, Inside Out 2 is the only win they've really had. I mean, they're going to get a win this week with Deadpool and Wolverine. They're going to get a win, but
sure, it's not going to be enough to offset this.
Well, I'm taking a step further. They'll make. I mean, yesterday we all on Roundtable our final predictions. None of us are convinced it's going to break $1 billion. I said at best maybe it gets over 900 million. It'll make some profit on a $200 million budget, even with its massive marketing campaign. It'll break 900 million, I think, and I think it'll have to make some money. But any profit they make off this in 6 months, it will be destroyed by Black Falcon Captain America, because that movie cost $345 million that we know of.
Well, so it's not like if it's all from the same pool, they're not really making any. They might make profit on this individual movie, but they're not making profit overall because they're still in the hole from movies from 8 years ago.
Well, you're wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. What I'm saying is any net profit they make in this fiscal quarter will be wiped out by the next flop. And it's only going to I'm going to be watching it for the purpose of that I can have the conversation. I'm not excited to go see this. In fact, I'm not going to go see it. If you catch my drift, I will watch it so that I can give my opinion, because this, let's be honest, outside the politics of the United States right now, Deadpool Wolverine starting tomorrow is what's going to suck up the entertainment pop culture oxygen for the rest of the week. It's the story for the rest of the week.
I will probably watch it at some point. I hope that I enjoy it, but otherwise, I'm not like super excited for it. You know, it's just this is a thing that I'll probably watch.
I'll watch it. I'll probably do like a 5-minute quick no spoilers review on it, and then we're going to talk about it on Sunday on Roundtable with spoilers, because Jed's going to see it, Dre's going to see it, and I'll put out an invitation. Anybody else who wants to come on, maybe talk about it this weekend. So it's just we have to see it out, and whatever success it has, it's an outlier. It doesn't change the fate of the MCU right now. It's still going down the tubes. There's no saving it. You can bring on the Russo brothers, who haven't done well since they left MCU, and there's conversation about how good they'll come back and do. Because listen, as I said yesterday, and I said repeatedly, I don't despise Endgame. I felt like it sucked the landing good enough. I'm satisfied with it. But that wasn't their best, and that's what they ended on.
Well, if they had ended with Endgame, there would be no need to have to deal with the Snap bullshit that's been fucking up everything ever since.
That's a problem. Yeah, they made up the Snap stuff. Yeah. And listen, I like Endgame, but they made a mega mistake going with Dragon Ball Z time travel rules. That was just a giant mistake to do that. Because Dragon Ball Z time travel rules are the worst.
They go out of their way to talk shit about movie fucking time travel rules in that movie too.
Yeah, but Dragon Ball Z time travel rules are the worst. They're the worst. The worst. Yeah, see, like, listen, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have the negative feelings that Bacon and a lot of other guys have it. I liked it for what it was, and I always enjoy it when I watch it. But I can still acknowledge all its faults, including editing, including some costume designs. Listen, I was one of many that audibly groaned at Whammon's moment during the final battle in the theater. But then I cheered when Thanos punched Captain Marvel out of the movie. So I can acknowledge all its faults, and I'm not going to get angry if you hate it. But it is what it is, and it's good enough,
Yeah.
and the MCU ends for me there. So
I don't hate it. As far as I'm concerned, Infinity War was a better movie, but I don't
Yes.
mind Endgame.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Infinity War was a better movie. Just like I like Winter Soldier better than both those movies.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's
Winter
those, that's
Soldier
all,
was
those are all
a very enjoyable film. Yeah.
yeah, those are all Russo creations. But since they've left working on the MCU, working with other people's stuff, they haven't had success since they left.
You know
Working on
what's
that
funny?
stuff.
Because there are a number of writing teams that have come and gone through the whole Marvel thing, especially with Disney Plus and all that stuff. Did you ever catch any of Moon Knight?
No, I watched it vicariously through other people reviewing it.
Okay, so I have heard nothing but negative things about this. I've not seen it myself, so I can't verify that. But I have heard nothing but negative things about Moon Knight. The problem that I'm having here is that the directing team that they got for this, I can't remember, Benson and Moorhead, I think. So those two guys who wrote and directed whatever have actually done a bunch of independent movies that I actually really like. They're pretty good. Prior to getting hired on for this. And I think that's why they did get hired on, because they were kind of rising stars in the independent movie sphere. And they're like, oh yeah, these guys are doing well. Let's pull them into this. And they got thrown into something, told what to do. And, then you get
That's
what
the Disney
happened
thing.
there.
They want to get people in there they can manipulate and control. And if these guys are just a couple independent guys who aren't used to handling big entertainment type situations, they'll fold easily when the notes start coming in. We need your Egyptian superhero.
I would recommend to those of you out there, if you saw Moon Knight, but you want to see what these guys are actually good at, I would recommend a movie called Resolution, and a follow-up sort of tied in, sort of in the same universe kind of movie called The Endless.
Okay.
Start there, because some of their independent stuff is actually really good. Some of it's kind of wonky. They sometimes they write themselves into a corner, but
Yeah, see, here's the thing. I'm not into Oscar Isaac. I think people make too big a deal out of him. I've never really enjoyed him in anything I say. He was competent for his moment in Dune. That was the last thing I saw him in. But then again, Denny Vinny's Dune had a whole lot of other host of problems. Oscar Isaacs wasn't one of them. That is a whole lot of problems to it. Anyway, all right. So we're gonna wrap it up. It is after midnight. And just as a promise, next week we will check out the lost season of Atlantis, which I have some theories of what they're going to talk about. It'll probably lead in. They'll probably talk about Extinction, the canceled movie. They'll probably talk. I'm just guessing what they'll talk about, because that was supposed to be the giant movie where everybody came together. And then also next week we will get back to what we were supposed to do it this week, but with just Sam and I here, we're missing enough voices to talk about the epic battle of it. We'll do the other epic battle thing. Oh, we lost Sam again. No. Anyway, I'll keep going till he gets back so he can do his outro. There he is. Wait a minute. He's not quite back. There he is. Okay.
that was stupid.
Okay. Did you kick yourself? You kicked yourself?
No, it froze up on me. It's like, oh, I can't do this anymore. You can go.
Anyway, no. So next week we'll do the Stargate thing. And did you catch me saying I think they'll talk about Extinction in that? That's my guess. They'll mention Extinction, which the movie that they were supposed to bring everybody into.
They'll probably mention Extinction, because Extinction was supposed to be their arc of truth for the 6th season that they never got, essentially. Which they also never got. So
yeah, I know. It just hurts so much. We'll talk about that, and as I said, we'll do the next epic battle that Arrow wanted, because as I was saying, you want 3 or 4 of us here, so that you have the multiple nerds complaining about whatever's on the screen, because that's why Ariel's giving it to us. So we're going to complain and whine about it. So we'll get to those next week. We'll have a viewing pleasure. So we'll get to the Galactic Battles thing. That's Galactic Battles. Sorry, we'll get to the next Galactic Battles one next week when Devil's here, and we'll see whoever else pops in for that, and we'll have some fun with it. So until then, guys, Samuel, what's on your menu this week?
I'm not gonna probably be able to make Wrong Think tomorrow. I think Devil is having one, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to work late. It's a whole thing at work. But so the next time I'm going to probably be online is Friday night for Abyssal Musings. Lawrence Knight will be back this week. He was gone last week. Smooth the DJ stepped in and covered for him, but he'll be back this week, and so we'll be back on schedule. And I think he's got a new quiz planned, so that should be fun. After that, follow us over to Beelzehub for Beelzepub about an hour after that, and we'll be up real late talking about random shit that's probably upsetting. So, that'll be fun.
I watched it. Hang on a second. Hold on a second. Shit. Hang on. I think my nose is bleeding. Fuck. No, it's not. Just snot. Sorry. It felt like it's really dry in here. I'm getting nosebleeds every couple of weeks. So I thought my nose was about to start bleeding on camera. That would have been horrible. Or at least if I'd done it, you would have had the final shot of me with a tissue shoved up my nose for the last seconds. I would have done that. I would have done that for you. All of you.
Now I know how you feel when Dermy interrupts you on Ballbusters with your outro.
See, I didn't do it on purpose though. He did.
Excuse me.
He does. So go ahead, finish. Sorry, go ahead.
So after that, Saturday afternoon back on my channel for Screaming Into the Void. I got some interesting things that we're probably going to talk about this week, including some stuff that's going around that seems like they're rewriting protocol at the White House, which is only hours old. So we'll see what happens there. Yep. And then back here on next Monday for Mellow Mondays. You can also find.
We lost you there. I think the shitterneck got him again in the middle of it. He cut right out. Shit. He's going to drop any second now too. Yeah, shitterneck got him again. We'll let Samuel finish when he comes back. As for me, tomorrow is Tuesday. I generally don't do much on Tuesdays due to the way the schedule works out for me. I usually take that day. If I don't do it on Monday, I organize my shit on Tuesdays. Wednesday, I'm going to try and get something out I've been promising for a very long time. I'm going to try and get out for you Wednesday. We'll see what happens. That's part of the reason why I'm not going to do much tomorrow. Wednesday night, no Natural 20. Or Sam, are you back?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Finish your thoughts. Sorry, you were saying.
Where did I leave off? At what point did I?
Last thing I heard you saying. You can also find me. That was the last word you said.
Okay. Yeah, you can also find me over on Exiled Lioness 2, a political channel that I moderate and produce for. So.
Okay, there you go. All right, back to what I was saying then. So Tuesday, I'll be working on something that hopefully I'll gift you guys on Wednesday. There is no more Acolyte, so that's done. Thursday, Anime Odyssey. Dermy and I will be talking Gundam Unicorn. We had a guest, but scheduling conflicts because he lives on the other side of the world. Legal Mindset will not be able to join us. We're trying to get him rescheduled for the August episode, so stay tuned for that. But I don't know if we have a backup guest in mind because Dermy actually handles the guest bookings for that because he doesn't mind bugging people to come join us. So I let him do it because I'm terrible at it. So we'll be doing Gundam Unicorn. We'll be having a couple other anime type discussions on there. No VTuber discussion because that was only going to happen if Legal Mindset was there. So there will be no VTuber talking on Anime Odyssey this week. So that's we'll keep it at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Friday, Ballbusters. That degenerate mess of a show. I have no idea who the guest is this week. No, I don't know who the guest is. Yeah, I don't. I have no idea who the guest is this week. Saturday, as a Saturday Night Drive-In, it's Sahara 2011. Matthew McConaughey, Penelope Cruz are in that one. I haven't seen it, so you'll be getting a fresh take. I am familiar with Clive Cussler, but partially familiar, not very. Then Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Roundtable, where we will go over the week's events. We'll be talking Deadpool and Wolverine, most likely, amongst other things. Oh, I will be on Saturday as well. I might be on Alf's gaming channel this week I think it's my rotation there. I don't know what we're playing. I think we're all kind of tired of State of Decay 2. And once Human fell through because Static learned, they'll be resetting all your stats every season. So all your experience wiped out. So we said, screw that. We're not playing this shit. Now, I have found a different game. I've suggested it to the guys. So we might play that, or I might play that myself and see how it goes. Other than that, then, like I said, then roundtable 2 p.m. Eastern, and then right back here, 10 p.m. Eastern next week for another Mellow Mondays. So thank you, Samuel, for being here. As always, chat, we love you. We
Indeed.
appreciate you. Without you guys, we don't get to do this. You guys make it happen. I'm Final Fantasy 14 is that's my private play, Ariel, and I'm in random grinding mode because I finished the main story for the game, and I'm doing basically wash, rinse, repeat raid content now, which is not very entertaining, especially because I haven't done it. I don't know it, and I looked like a fool when I did it the other night. And I had a group that was basically not so much yelling at me, but talking a lot of trash to me while I was trying to learn the fight, and it wasn't very fun. So I have to get myself psyched up to finish because I hate the normal raids. I really hate them. They have too much AoE and the mechanics get too zany in such a small space. But I have to get through it. I got to get the grind. I'm enjoying 14 still, but it's me doing random shit now. It's nothing really entertaining. And it's only me and Kel. Dermy's not back in, and we have failed to get anybody else to play with us. So it's kind of just, it's a lot of crafting and a lot of making money. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to make money in game. So it's not really that exciting. It isn't. That's why hopefully next week, or not this week, but next week, hopefully I will set up the Dragon Age Origin stream. I just got to get everything set up. Now that I'm not doing Acolyte anymore, I've got a little bit more wiggle room on Wednesday, Thursday, what to do. And so I'm going to try and get that going alongside anything else. So that's, if we're going to get gaming, it'll be me on Alf's stream. I'll get Dragon Age Origins going, and this other game, if I get it to work, I'll probably do that. It's another survival game, little crafting, fantasy, medieval stuff. We'll see how it goes. Not very expensive. It's like $10. So, and it's in early access. So we'll see how it
God,
goes.
I wish I could stream games again. I miss it.
Yeah, I want to do it. It's just fitting into the schedule right now with everything and all that kind of stuff. And listen, Lunar would be a completely different thing, Ariel, because that requires wires and cables I don't even currently have. Because Dragon Age is my PS3, which means I can still HDMI it in. I do not have the cables for a PS2 right now to do Lunar. We'll get there one day. That's retro gaming we'll get to, because that'll be hours of grinding. It would be the remix. It wouldn't be the Sega CD one, because the Sega CD one is easy mode. It's not very hard. The remake, at least there's a challenge to that one when I play that one. Anyway, all right, guys. So thank you one and all. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you guys. As I said, without you guys, these shows don't happen. You show up, we entertain you, you support me, you support Samuel, we have a good time, and we come back every week for more good nerd stuff. So thank you one and all. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, take it easy.
Bye.